How's it going, everybody? Welcome. How are you? How you doing? What's going on? How you doing? I can't believe it. Oh my God, it's Monday. Is it? Is it Monday? Yes, it is Monday. It's a Monday. How do I know it's a Monday? Because I have a fresh hole in my arm. No, I have not taken up riding the white horse. No, I'm not that big an Alice in Chains fan. Cannot for the man who wanders. Straw that broke your back, you're under. Now you know that none are blind. Hi. Yes, no, no heroin for me. Let's see. Well, I'm first of all, today I'm wearing part of our ongoing show and tell is stuff that I have but lost and couldn't find for the longest time, and one of them has been one of my prized possessions, this Spinal Tap hoodie. Okay, you're saying, sure, Spinal Tap hoodie. Who doesn't have like a Spinal Tap hoodie? Lots of people have Spinal Tap hoodies. Yeah, do they have a shark sandwich Spinal Tap hoodie? No, they do not. No, they do not. They do not have a shark sandwich hoodie. Now, that said, I am still wearing, for those of you that were following along this morning, with Stephanie Miller, I'm still wearing the shirt from Cobra that I accidentally wore this morning. But this is the fresh hole in my arm. And my arms did not grow. They're still, it's just the angle. How are you? So I went and had yet another COVID antibody test to see if it's been through my system or if the antibody test has gotten any better in the last little bit since I had one. If you'll recall, I think it was in April when I went for that one. That's terrible, Terrence. I think we all remember where we were. I was actually, I was at home by myself, and I just sat and listened to Dirt and Facelift over and over again. But yeah, so got my second one today. Also, while I was at it, getting all my numbers checked and getting my vitamin D level checked. And yeah, my hair is actually, it is technically down to my shoulders. It will soon be down past my shoulders, which I'm looking forward to. I really, really am. Is it bad that I want to smell the glove hoodie? Not at all. There's a thin line between stupid and clever. And yes, we named the show what we did today. And by we, I mean me. Still a one-man show till we get more patrons. I'm trying. But it's Biden wins again. He just secured 270. And by the way, I wrote that before the official word came through because I honestly knew it was already going to happen. See, because that's the, not predictable at all when reality catches up to Nudniks, who will be viewing in short order. Oh, today the while the clips may be short, they are aplenty. We have the Trump kill me interview, which in its own right, I don't even know if people have grasped how stupid it is. We also have Rudy Giuliani's triumphant return with his staggering, like walking pneumonia, whatever he has now. Man. And yeah, so Trump has lost again, true, and Biden has won again. Honest to God, at this point, I think Biden's going to be the one that gets tired of winning. I think we're almost over. Like, yeah, he won. We're almost getting mad now. Hey, Ireland, how are you? Don't forget Ireland. It's my island. And I'd like to congratulate everyone down under in Australia and Perth and in Sydney and everywhere because they totally opened their country back up, and it's a really good sign that everybody down there is taking really good care of themselves, and they've set up a standard, not unlike, what's going on in New Zealand, and the people down there in New Zealand who clearly created for themselves a real island paradise, down there, so good. And of course, the Russians have got a copy of everyone's vaccine but can't make it work. What the shit, man? We stole all the vaccine things from everybody's server. Well, thank you, Natalie. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Natalie, very much. We steal everybody's vaccine, and dagnabbit, none of them work. I feel like the guy in The Saint who can't figure out the math for cold fusion. You know what I'm saying? So yeah. um. So yes. So for the record, and for all time, and the world of reality, Trump has lost again beyond the threats of violence. Now, here's the one thing I would like to. The Russian vaccine. Somebody said, does it smell like vodka? No, it has a faint whiff of falling out of a third floor window. It has there's something about it where you're like, oh, I know. Oh. That's what it's. Yeah, it's a lot like that. So I've come to the determination beyond the Q crowd, who are both dumb, insane, and a good portion of them are covering for pedophiles. It's what they do, folks. Hold on, I gotta move my stool over here so I can talk to you guys. Yes, we'll get to that in just a minute, Lipschitz. The QAnon crowd, and I'm sure there's some lurking amongst us right now, are not only the sort of the saddest, most gullible crowd on on the interwebs in general. I was going to say like in the in the recesses of permanently swiped left or swiped right. I don't know which way do you swipe to get rid of somebody. I've never done those. I lived through an entire era in a relationship where those jokes and circumstances came and went. But the Q folks, the ones who aren't just sad and easily led around by their nose, are actively participating in a pedophile protection racket, because it's basically a distraction from the real pedophiles and real criminals out there, money launderers, human traffickers, drug dealers, murderers, that kind of stuff. And it just kind of goes, well, those guys over there, maybe look at them. It's the other hand of the magician, one that isn't doing the trick, it's just distracting you. So that's the in general, there's a bunch of those folks. There's also, beyond that, the right-wing militia crowd who fancy themselves pure of spirit Republicans, but don't most of the time, statistically speaking anyways, vote, largely because they have a lot of overlap with preppers and not wanting to be tracked. So any given time they want to, pony up and do something in the political sphere, unfortunately for them, it entails giving more information about themselves. They don't want to do it, so they don't end up. A lot of them aren't registered to vote. A lot of the provisional ballots in Michigan for Trump came from people who were like, all right, I'll do it. And then there's the sovereign citizen crowd. And the sovereign citizen crowd is effectively the anarchists. Like, if on the left they would be anarchists, on the right they're sovereign citizens. The idea is that they don't believe in governments or the functionality of government. They don't believe they should exist or have any controls, or that there are so many freedoms so as to make a government non-existent. It's goofy. They always get beat up being pulled out of a car they refuse to leave. It's hilarious. They don't have driver's licenses, but they're on the road. They don't want, like all this stuff. It's just infantile. But they are not, as it were, most of the time anyways, Republicans. They're much like the Antifa crowd. While they are politically boisterous and loud, very few of them actually vote, if any. And so they don't really affect the electorate. They get mad because they don't, because nobody listens to them, because they're nutcases. And then the rest of the time, they're just kind of, getting themselves arrested and wasting everyone's time. So over the course of the last little bit, though, over the Trump era, these folks have sought. Hi, Grim. Thank you. Those folks, the sovereign citizens, the Alex Jones following QAnon types, the people who watch Zeitgeist too many times, all that stuff. Thank you, Dark Princess. Oh my God, thank you for the bits. That's lovely. All those different crowds, which are kind of, that range in sort of behavior from like the Timothy McVeighs to the Falwells, in terms of their allegiance to the Republican Party or their belief in conservative principles. And mostly it's the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they voted for Trump not as a Republican, not as a party loyalist or anything like that, but because they were literally cultists for this dude. And look at that. Hype train. And thank you guys and thank you, Joan. Thank you, Holly, on Facebook as well. Bless you. So, yeah. So the groupings that normally just kind of like alternate back and forth, between just all the trouble they can get themselves into, all the political machinations of a Sturgis bike rally that don't actually end up being politically exerting any control whatsoever over any, certainly the majority of humans in the country, end up being a waste of time, except under Trump, where a bunch of these people have sort of fused under the envelope of Trumpism because he will dole out one particular win to each of them that's their heart's desire. That's been the key to how Trumpism was built within the Republican Party and why excising it means losing a huge chunk of these people. But at the same time, they would immediately, and I'm not kidding, gain back all the Republicans that beat feet for the hills that they lost. So, and they've also learned, I think Republicans have learned, that they can garner a lot of votes through mail-in voting and those kind of things. They don't have to deny the vote. In certain areas, they could actually, with the volume of extra votes that Trump got, if they just made the vote available and made their case, there's a lot more pockets of conservatism that they could benefit from that simply don't vote because it's a pain in the ass and they have to drive a long way. As much as it makes it's obviously a strategy by the Brian Kemps of the world to limit the number of voting machines in a black area so that black people have to stand in a long line. Beg your pardon, I was reading at the same time I was speaking. To slow down their desire to vote, make it difficult, make them have to go back to work, and they're going to lose their job if they stay there for 9 hours, that kind of stuff. The same thing applies in many ways to rural voters who don't want to drive all the way in and don't necessarily want, or haven't seen themselves as mail-in voters. And as you get to bad fall weather and winter weather, say in Georgia, for this runoff, they don't want to go. You're going to lose a chunk of them. And if you make voting available to everybody, it opens up. They used to fear that it just opens up Democratic voters. In reality, it opens up all voters and can give the Republican Party as a base conservative party a chance to kind of walk back to normalcy, because they would, and they would lose their cuckoo activist sovereign citizen class vote, but at the same time, they would gain back all the kind of run-of-the-mill Christian rural people who aren't evangelical. They're just Lutherans who have, more conservative bents. Like, it's not that hard. So, yes, early voting is amazing today in Georgia. That's a great sign. If you live in Georgia and you're within the sound of my voice, you know anybody who is, get them out there. Today it starts. They will be able to vote all the way up till, I think, the Friday before January 5th. I'm pretty sure that's when they stop. I might be thinking the Michigan rules. I don't want to screw up all these things, but that's pretty much what it is. So over the course of these, over the next few weeks, that is obviously everybody's push. But today it's about the Electoral College. And so let me open this up real quick and show you that Biden won again. Yeah, he just cleared, thanks to California. Let's see, how your supporters aren't able to comment unless they've been in order to... Oh, I don't have that. I don't think I have that set on. I have it set on followers. You have to follow on the page. You don't have to be a subscriber on the page, as far as the Facebook rules, insofar as I know, kids. Hold on, stream setup. Let me make sure. I don't want to stick anybody. Hold on. Make this video. Yeah, so it's not supporters only. It's, let's see, comments. That's right. Okay. Oops. There we go. Now you should be, if you're not a supporter, you can now speak. You can just be a follower. There you go. And it's, the only other restriction is that you have to be around for a little while. And you have to follow for at least 15 minutes. You don't have, I was able to finally get to the page that allows people to do it. So you should be able to be back on now. Sorry about that. Glad I could fix it. So I just gouged Facebook. Thank you, Julie. Hi, Julie. How are you? Hello. That's so nice to hear from you. Merry Christmas to you and yours and everybody. I don't know if you're in Germany right now with this kind of things, but I hope so. Venmo is always best because Facebook and all these other things, they take a slice, believe me. Oh boy, do they take a slice. 30% to Google on the YouTube. 30%. That's my agent takes 10. And my agent makes calls for me allegedly. They do jobs as opposed to just letting me stand there. All right, I guess it's rent, right? So California has officially, given theirs. That was the big chunk that put them over the top. 270 votes. It's done. It's done, and it's done again. This has been, and there's two pieces of good news too, by the way. Bill Barr's out, in case you just caught up, and many of you haven't seen this. But the smallest bite, I think Rhode Island maybe, might be Idaho. There are some states with like 3 electoral votes. It's adorable. Yes. Of course, Pennsylvania went for Biden. Yeah. No worries, Templeton. So yeah, Barr is out. As of December 23rd, he will be out. And basically just he's running out of a house fire, chucking matches over his shoulder. Whoever, they're going to put somebody in there to temporarily replace him, and that person is going to cause as much trouble as they possibly can. Right now, our government is being hacked on a massive level by Russia, and right after the president fired the CISA director. Yeah, Satan will replace him. I don't know. I think Satan would be Satan at least I think plays by God's rules. I don't know necessarily that Barr does, so that might be the argument there. I don't know how this. Do we care that Barr is out? Yes. I mean, arguably, there's 2 reasons why you care. On the one hand, it's good that he's gone, because it's an admission ultimately of his failure and his inability. The Durham report, all those kind of things, just totally collapsed everything. None of it is going to amount to anything. None of what he actually did while he was in there largely amounted to a hill of beans, other than maybe helping the situation in terms of not getting Trump removed from office. It didn't stop the impeachment. So this is Barr basically leaving, having failed. And I don't believe the Civil War part is coming. I think you can have some randos, but don't get too panicked. Some of these folks are going to try and jumpstart some stuff, but that's what, I mean, Charles Manson tried that too. So did Timothy McVeigh. It doesn't work out that way. People got shit to do. They're not going to join him. Barr's not going to prison, but this is his last. He's going to eke out a living at a private law firm, basically selling secrets under the table, or he's going to essentially retire and get paid to give speeches on how Trumpy he was. And so ultimately, though, that's the good part of him leaving. It's an abject admission of the failure of his term in office. As much as he ran interference for Trump, ultimately, he couldn't make any ground. Yes, he couldn't have. Thank you so much to everybody in Belfast. Much love to you. And, another good example, like Belfast, in my lifetime, went through some really gnarly civil unrest politically and has recovered. And is in the same way that, Germany right before my lifetime began, went through similar things. And everybody's like, after COVID and Trump, will we ever be America again? Will we ever get? I'm like, look, if Germany can recover from Hitler, calm down. Trump does not have that kind of power. Don't inflate this idiot. I mean, honestly. So while, yes, Barr definitely did help Trump while he was in office, but most of what he did failed miserably. And Trump has tweeted, just had a very nice meeting with Attorney General Bill Barr at the White House. Our relationship has been a very good one. He has done, oh, thank you, Susan. He's done an outstanding job. As per letter, Bill will be leaving just before Christmas to spend the holidays with his family. As per letter. You mean his resignation letter, I guess? Does he print the letter? Is the letter up on the screen? Yep, there it is. As per letter. There we go. Deputy Attorney General Jeff Rosen, an outstanding person. Yeah, which of course means he probably has people in his crawl space under. If Trump calls someone an outstanding person, one of 2 things is going to happen. Either they have a domestic violence record that's going to come to light, and they'll leave in shame, or he calls them an outstanding person because he thinks they're going to do his bidding, and then they do their job instead of what he wants, and then he thinks, well, they were always a Democrat, but they just got me coffee. I don't really know them. I don't know the gentleman. Will becoming acting attorney general, highly respected Richard Donahue will be taking over the duties of deputy attorney general. Thank you to all. This is so stupid. Well, how is somebody reading this? Barr agreed to flip on you. Barr agreed to flip on you. Barr agreed to, why is this? Is it really? In exchange for what? Barr agreed to flip on you. Yes. You know, it's so... you got to do Trump doesn't just do the accordion. He also does the, what is a dumb answer? Who is... Maria, thank you so much. Oh my gosh. Just a mic drop. Maria, thank you so much on Facebook. I think that's the record so far. That's incredible. Has Melania filed for divorce yet? No, I think she has to stay until OG1, the new network, gets off the ground. So, shall we pay him a visit and see if he's flipping out right now? No, just kicked him out. Then what was before that? Washington Times. Julie Opinion. Forensic auditors find shocking 68% error rate in one Michigan county's votes. Oops, big oops. In fact, the system was found to be purposely designed with inherent errors. Oh, this is the Washington Times. This is they cite in this the Epoch Times report on this, which is behind a paywall and full of shit. Wow. This report shows massive fraud, election-changing result. Detroit Free Press. Breaking. Judge orders release of report examining Antrim County vote tabulators. Freep. Let's see. Let's go right to it. Judge orders release of report examining Antrim County vote tabulators. Not the counting machines. Tabulators. Okay, now, what has Trump gone and done? What has he done, guys? What have you spotted? What have you spotted? That there's a distinction between the vote counting machines and tabulating machines. Tabulating machines tell the governor and the press, and if they're wrong, they're not the certified amount. They're the update. There's the most human error in the in that part of it. It's the counting that matters. And occasionally somebody will leave out a packet of stuff. That was like the votes in Georgia that they found, or the ones that flipped 17,000 votes that were given to Trump that were ultimately given to Biden because they were really his. That kind of stuff. A Michigan judge has ordered the release of a report on Antrim County voting equipment after state and county officials withdrew objections. After they withdrew the objections. Yeah, we looked at it. Go ahead, look at it. Assistant Attorney General Eric Grill, which is expected to be released Monday morning, is inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading. So who did the report? A report on Antrim County voting machines after state officials withdrew objections. Okay. Judge Kevin Elsenheimer, Jingleheimer Smith, of the 13th Circuit Court had ordered forensic imaging of the Dominion voting systems voting tabulation and related software. Forensic imaging of Dominion voting systems voting tabulators and related software after Antrim County resident William Bailey. Won't you come home, Bill Bailey? Won't you come home? Many people will know the name William Bailey. Do you know what great rock star is named William Bailey? Anybody? I gotta see if you guys know this one, because this one's solid. What famous? There you go, Jillian, right out of there. There you go. Just a little patience, yeah. I've been walking the streets at night, just trying to get it right. All right. Filed a lawsuit that challenged the integrity of the election equipment. Where do we go now? Citing errors in how the county initially reported its unofficial results. Yep. Let's see. Elsenheimer, a former Republican lawmaker. You don't say. Former. Well, why did he leave office? Did he get voted out? I'm sure it's nothing. did not base his order on unofficial results that showed Democratic Joe Biden got more votes than Republican President Donald Trump in the solidly GOP county. Did not base his order on unofficial results that showed Democrat Joe Biden got more votes. That was the 6,000 flip. A mistake both county and state officials have attributed to an error the Republican clerk made. The Republican clerk made. The Republican clerk made. M-A-D-E, in case you can't read it, or you're listening to the sound of my voice later. There was no Republican clerk made who was like, someone's dropped all these ballots on the floor. When updating ballot information, instead, the judge cited a closely decided village proposal to allow a marijuana dispensary. This is the vote in that area that was off and wanted a recount because I think it was one vote. On December 6th, a team from Allied Security Operations Group, ALSOG, ASOG? Maybe work on, because somebody's going to go with the letters on it. Nobody's going to be saying Allied Security Operations Group. ASOG? A Dallas area firm that has worked with lawyers for Trump and his allies on cases challenging election results, battleground states expecting the voting equipment at county offices based on concerns related to the election security, blah, blah, blah. Elsenheimer had placed a protective order over the findings, restricting use, distribution, manipulation of the forensic images and other information gleaned without getting his approval. Then he gave it. Said the report signed by Russell Ramsland I would just call it Ramsland Security. That sounds more butch, don't you think? It's a security firm. Ramsland's ASOG doesn't help. It's a mistake. I'm just saying. Signed an inaccurate affidavit. What? Ramsland, a cybersecurity analyst and former Republican congressional candidate, never won, did he? Who is identified in multiple media reports as an officer of ASOG. ASOG? We'll figure it out. Signed an inaccurate affidavit in at least one court case and gave flawed analysis of voter turnout in the November 3rd election. In one analysis, Ramsland confused voting districts in Minnesota with ones in Michigan. Oh, wow. He was the guy behind that? That was his doing? Beautiful. We got to dig into that. Grill said Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson has withdrawn her objection to release the report because Bailey's attorney, Matthew DePerno, has already given media interviews in which he said Benson lied and Antrim County's official election results are wrong. Any attempt to suppress the report now would only incorrectly be seen as an attempted cover-up, he said. Questioned why DePerno even filed a motion about lifting the protective order since he was willing to give interviews based on the, quote, inaccurate, incomplete, and misleading report while the order was still in place. Michigan delegates, they cast their ballot. It's already happened. Official results showed Trump beat Biden in Antrim County by 4,000 votes out of 16,000 votes cast. And by the way, this is 16,000 votes in this total county. And this is one of the ones where Trump's going, I won this whole thing. I won like 80% of the votes in this area. I won this 80%. I won this county by 80%. This county I lost by 30%. They should even out, except the county lost by 30% has, 2.6 million people in it. It's just stupid. Let's check out Michigan Freebie. Affidavit in Michigan lawsuit makes wildly inaccurate claims about voter turnout in state. You don't say. By the way, Michigan and Georgia are the two linchpins in their fight. They really do think that's where the real stuff is. The claim in 10 Michigan precincts, voter turnout reached 100% in 6 precincts, and in 6 precincts it surpassed 100%. A lawsuit is asking federal court in Michigan to go away. No, you don't get to. State leaders to disregard Michigan's certified election results and awarded 16 electoral votes to President Trump. It includes an affidavit that makes wildly inaccurate claims about voter turnout in Michigan. This is also the linchpin of the Sidney Powell, who, by the way, where is she? Where are you? No, that's terrible. That's terrible. Sorry about that person. There. Yes. Look who it is. Just sitting in a nice little hotel room somewhere in D.C. with her sweater on backwards. What could possibly go wrong? We all love Glenn Kirshner. Yeah. Hi, how are you? And of course, Rudy. Rudy, why does your page not want to load? What's up with you?
Hello, I'm Rudy Giuliani.
Not yet. We're not ready for you. You wait. There he is again. This is one of the things they've constantly said. And Trump will say this let's tip of the spear, edge of the knife. Let's go through what Trump thinks happened first. Let's start here.
Mr. President, the first sitting
Mr. Ex-President. No, he's still a president until the 20th. But I like that. That's good.
president to attend the Army-Navy game, Teddy Roosevelt, 1901. There's only been two other presidents that have shown up for Army-Navy game, Truman and Bush. You're the third. Why are you here?
Because other presidents were working and many times had either crises to take care of or were they didn't want to look hyper militaristic. Why would they? What are you going to do? Go and root for one team over the other?
Well, I love football, but I love these two
Totally loves football. You can tell. I mean, you should see him train.
teams, and they're special, and they've been to the White House, and we've given them awards because, it's always the Commander-in-Chief award. One of them's going to get it.
Right.
And I've had a lot of fun in the
Oh, so all presidents have given the award, I see. So they don't all go to the game, but they...
coaches are terrific people.
Well, that should do it. That's why he's there.
You, of everything you accomplished,
I couldn't think of a better place to be when we passed 300,000 dead.
you took over a military that was cut by 25%.
Yeah.
That only had 3 brigades ready to fight and was out of bullets.
They were not. They had tons of brigades currently in fighting. They had 3 in reserve.
What have you done in the 4 years to change that?
Entirely rebuilt military like never before. New
Like never before. Not in the lead up to World War II. Not when we were building our first battleships. Never. No one even thought to the. We were basically back to George Washington rowboats.
missiles and rockets and tanks and ships and planes, and we have the F-35s coming in by the hundreds, as you know.
Yeah, that's what we need. Hundreds of F-35s because they're disposable. And by the way, the reason we need hundreds of F-35s is because we're selling them to other countries. He's giving a bunch of them to Bahrain and UAE and Saudi Arabia.
When I took over, we had a depleted military. We had no ammunition.
We did not have no ammunition. We had used in one fell swoop the largest group of smart missiles that we had online, available, wiping out ISIS, and they were down. And the Obama administration put $1.8 billion in replenishing those things. They showed up on his watch 3 months in because the Obama administration had ordered them. He didn't make that happen.
I'll never forget a very overrated general coming to see me and saying, "Sir, we have no ammunition."
If he's overrated, maybe he was just lying to you. Maybe he just wanted more stuff, and he thought you're a sap. You're easily cowed by the military. You can be talked into anything. You have daddy issues, and you're machismo, like false blubbery machismo, is one of your defining characteristics. So,
And I'm sorry, this is my first 2 days in office.
Right.
And I say no president should ever have to hear that, and no president should ever be spied on either. So we set a lot of records. But
we set a lot of records. He does have the record for being spied on. What? Yes, there's sound. There is sound. Quit it, Roma. Facebook has its own issues. Reload your page.
But we have a totally rebuilt, and our nuclear is now tippy-top, and just hope to...
Tippy-top. Grown man with nuclear codes.
We have a totally rebuilt, and our nuclear is now tippy-top.
Tippy-top. Mr. President, we've worked very hard on the nukes. We've got some of the best ever. They used to be fair to Midland, and now they're right as rain. Yeah, but are they tippy-top? Not yet, sir. Well, don't talk to me until they are.
And just hope to God you never have to use it.
Today,
But if they are, they're tippy-top. They dear God, a missile is flying for us. It's from the Americans. Holy shit, is he wearing a top hat? How do you make a nuclear missile look like Dick Van
we found out late last night that
you lost in the Supreme Court.
the Supreme Court would not hear the Texas case. It did not have standing, according to them.
Yeah, not according to them. According to the Constitution.
So judging by your tweets, you're very disappointed in that. Is it over?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's over. It'll be over a couple more times. It's definitely over now.
No, it's not over. We keep going, and we're going to continue to go forward. We have numerous...
Go forward with fleecing our supporters and making them think there's hope so that we can squeeze as much money out of them as possible.
Local cases where, in some of the states...
Local cases. Yeah, you watch. We may have lost in the Supreme Court, but our suit to question the results of a marijuana legalization bill that was decided by one vote, that we're going to go all in on that one.
It got rigged and robbed from...
Rigged and robbed and rolled and wronged. Ribbed for your pleasure was the election. It was ribbed for Biden's pleasure.
Cases where, in some of the states it got rigged and robbed from us. We won every one of them. We won...
No, you didn't.
Won Pennsylvania.
No, they didn't.
We won Michigan.
No, you didn't.
We won Georgia by a lot. We have a Republican governor that's worse than a Democrat. He's...
we've all been watching this happen, but honestly, guys, watching Brian Kemp become the target of Republican vitriol on this level, just think back to this jerk stealing the election from Stacey Abrams because he was Secretary of State and running the election while he was running for governor, and he was limiting machines. There was no direct fraud. It was just literally just stopping people from voting by, all the white areas had 20 machines for every 5 people, and all the black areas had 1 machine, and it ran on French fry grease and smoked the entire time you were there and shut down half the time, and it was hooked up to the internet in case it started getting too far ahead, that kind of stuff. But, Brian Kemp became the most hated Democrat, the most hated Republican in the country.
Terrible, and he's hurting Kelly and David very badly.
It's wrong. He sent him a gift card, which is the gift that says, "I don't really know you."
Republican governor that's worse than a Democrat. He's terrible, and he's hurting Kelly and David very badly.
Why? Again, because this isn't even about signature verification and all that kind of stuff. They're running now. They've got an election coming up. The only people that are slowing down the Republican vote in that state is Trump and his supporters, who are saying don't vote. Ellen Wood.
And the senators.
Of course, yeah, getting pictures taken with people from the KKK isn't helping Loeffler's case much either, unless she's trying to narrowcast for the election. It is Georgia, after all.
They're terrific people. And Wisconsin, as you know, we have a case going on as we speak. Right. It's actually going on right now.
It's super great. It's going terrific, except it isn't.
You have individual states happening right now.
We're doing individual states.
Yeah, we're just going to do individual states. What I'm going to do is I've decided to become the president of Ohio. And you mean governor? No. What I'm going to do is I'm going to become the president of the red states in my mind. Do you guys ever remember there was a alternate government in the maybe 15 years ago? They tried to create this alternate United States within the United States, and they gathered together and they had a constitutional Congress, and it was just moronic. But they had a president and all kinds of stuff. I got to see. Hold on one second. I might be able to see it. Let me see if I can. Would it be? Yeah, I think it'd be in Safari. So did I put it in news? It was super goofy. No, that wasn't it. It's very strange. It's this little, it's okay. Give me a second. Maybe it's in this old news one. I think I have it. The state of, oh no, that's it. State of the Union, back up. Welcome. No, that's whitehouse.gov. I might find it. I'll have to dig it up. Damn it. Where is it? You bastard. But the idea is that they created this entire. Do you guys remember this stuff? Oh, did somebody just find it and Texas Chinese wind farm, national security, espionage, electrical grid. Oh boy. Biden captured electoral vote from all states. Trump contested. Yep, that's the win. Oh, the shadow electors. Yeah, it was like a shadow government, except they weren't going to be a shadow government because they don't exist in the actual real world. It's just, I mean, it was literally this fanciful exercise of ridiculousness. Honest to God, there was no hope for this to become anything. It simply was, what are now largely what we see as Republicans, the Trump supporters, what were the maggots themselves, kind of before all this, creating their own version of the government. I'll dig it up at some point. I'll show it to you at tomorrow's show because I'm gonna have to re-dig into it. But it sounds a lot like what Trump is attempting right now. Oh, they asked for money. They had people come in and
certify.
Which executive order? The 13848. Is that the one about about Social Security? We'll get to that.
The sixth, they transmit. What does that do for your fight?
I don't know. We're going to speed it up as much as we can, but you can only go so fast. They give us very little time.
Boo-hoo. Yeah, it's not like you had 4 years to make sure the election was secure the next time you ran. And, I mean, obviously you tried to bribe the people at ES&S, and it got you states it only got you states you were going to win anyways. Wah, wah.
But we caught them, as you know. It's fraudulent, dropping ballots, doing so many things.
Yeah, they're so clumsy. Luckily, they were clumsy. Dropping ballots.
Nobody can even believe it.
Yeah, I don't believe they were dropping ballots.
Them, as you know, it's fraudulent, dropping ballots, doing so many things.
Look, even Kilmeade's like, what? What do you mean dropping? What's dropping ballots? What do you mean? What?
Nobody can even believe it. Dead people voting and
no, yeah. The only people who've been arrested for dead people voting have been voting for Trump.
All far greater than the number of votes we need. The election was over at 10 o'clock in the evening. I had won. It was 97.
No, I mean, that's another fixation that he has. I swear to God, like nobody thought that. Seriously, no one thought that. No one called him and went, dude, it's 10 o'clock. You wrap this sucker up. Because Fox had already called Arizona for him and never let it go, and they turned out to be right.
98%, all of the bookies all over the world.
The bookies. Oh, well, that's how we solve it. That sounds like an election. The bookies. 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 You mean the betting markets? Then say betting markets. What's wrong with you? The bookies. I got to see the bookies. So what do you know? I know a lot that you don't know.
We're saying the election's over. They wouldn't even take bets on it. And then all of a sudden,
they wouldn't even take bets on it.
Sudden around 11 o'clock, ballots start getting dropped. You ever see the graph where you go like this and then it goes up to the sky?
You mean where they tabulate the votes and then they input them and they like that? Because they finished counting and then they tabulate them like adults?
Tens of thousands of ballots were being...
Did you ever notice in a horse race, one horse wins, but the times for all the horses get dumped in all at once? I mean, if that isn't proof that the horse race was rigged from the start, what the hell?
Illegally dropped. The machines are the worst. Dominion. Nobody even knows who owns it.
Your own witness said she spoke to the VP who was one of the owners.
These machines are controlling our country.
They are? Oh, my God. How in the world do you manage? Oops, hold on.
So it was a rigged election. It was really.
You wanted to say sham. He was going to say sham. I trust that that's true.
Machines are controlling our country. So it was a rigged election. It was really a sham and a shame.
A sham and a shame. It was both. It was a sham. It was just shimmy sham shame. It was a sham and a shame. If I had to pick one, I would say sham and shame. It was a shame. It was a shamey shame. It was DJ Shammy Shame.
When you look at this fight, though, you have 77%
Well, fight.
of Trump supporters who believe you won the election, according to.
Yeah. So 70% of Trump supporters believe you won, which doesn't mean he's not saying Republicans. That's not the number in Republicans. It's way lower. But Fox was like, all right, well, have you been a Trump supporter the entire time? Or you consider yourself a never Trumper or sometimes Trumper? Did you vote for him again? The all in for Trump crowd, his farts smell like roast beef and I can't wait to make a sandwich of them. That crowd, only 70% think he won. Do you think he'll be able to stand for that number, though? 70. That's a C.
A Fox poll.
I've heard actually much higher numbers.
I've heard much. He told me a much higher number. The guy I'm paying to tell me good numbers. Look, he's standing right over there. What'd you say? What did you say? You didn't say 7. It's 70? Why did I even say okay to this interview? Look at his face.
There's a rally right now in Washington.
Well, it's a gathering. Sturgis had more people. I'm just saying, and they can ride motorcycles.
For that, do you worry about the country being divided as if it goes to inauguration and they still feel that way and you still feel that way?
No,
we got through the last 4 years, and all the Democrats thought you had Russia help you win the election, and yet at the same time, we all abided by the law. That was his biggest problem, was that when Democrats saw him as illegitimate for any myriad of reasons, they acted within the law to find a remedy. And sometimes they quite frankly didn't or couldn't find a remedy simply because the narrow was too margin and the grace was too much for the office. And so and by the way, do you think the Republicans they're talking about, the Trumpsters, the maggots themselves, you think any of them thought Obama was a legitimate president? They all thought he was born in Kenya. What are you talking about? Obama won soundly. There was never any question about the elections. None whatsoever from either the Republican candidate or the electorate in general. He won fair and square each time. And still, the people who would eventually become the Trump supporters believed that he was born in Kenya, that it was all a big plot. Do we give a shit what those people think? Was it gonna change if the results, if he hadn't cried foul and swore he'd had it stolen? Do you think they would think Biden was legit? Get out of here.
Worry about the country having an illegitimate president.
Well, then resign. You've got a couple weeks left, and this is as good a time as any to make Mike Pence 46 and Joe Biden 47, which would be a fantastic turn of events, wouldn't it? To print up all the, can you imagine all the 46 gear that starts getting thrown out because nobody wants the Mike Pence, George Lazenby, Timothy Dalton jersey?
That's what I worry about. Yeah,
that's what keeps you up at night. That's what you worry about more than anything. Not jail or anything.
A president that lost and
yeah. You would worry about that if you managed to stay in office and were afraid.
Lost badly.
Thank you, Kathy.
This wasn't like a close election.
Yeah, you got stomped.
You look at Georgia. We won Georgia big. We won Pennsylvania big.
No, you didn't. This is just... And by the way, I don't think he buys this at all. I think he knows if he says this is what he would say. Remember that the Trump University tape we watched? Where he's like, I would call that hyperbole. This is hyperbole. Because the more he says this and the more that he says they really won and they've got a fight ahead of them and they're going to continue to fight on, that money just rolls in. And if he can keep this stupid pay for my legal defense thing going for another couple of months, that's why he's saying we're running out of time. We don't have a lot of time. It's not time to make your case. It's time to fleece another $200 million out of his supporters because he can use half of it to get loans to pay back his other debt and refinance it. That's what he's talking about.
We won Wisconsin big. We won it big.
But your guys
we won all of these states.
But do you think your legal team has proven that?
Well, we never get a chance to prove it because a judge will say, well, I'm sorry, you don't have standing. How about me? Texas and all of these states.
That's the Supreme Court. All the other states have listened to the evidence.
18 or 19 altogether.
14.
They come in. Think how nice that is.
It's not nice. It's stupid. And it's not the states. It's the AGs from those states, which are Republicans. The rest of the states, the governors, the secretaries of state, have not signed on to it.
They actually come
Their own deputies.
in, and they say, we want to support you, sir, because you're important to this country.
And we all got emails from Russia that said they have pictures of us with a goat.
We want to support you. They go in and they say the states don't have standing and I don't have. I'm president of the United States. I
Not for much longer.
just got 75 million votes, the biggest number of votes in the history of our country.
And Joe Biden got the biggest number of votes of a non-incumbent running for president ever. Of course, that might have something to do with the increase in population over the hundreds of years we've been a country.
Ever got
Notice he doesn't talk about percentage.
by a sitting president. I went from 63 million to 75 million, a 12 million vote difference. That's the biggest margin in history. They say if I got 67, the smartest people in the business.
The smartest people in the business. What business is that? Vote fixing? Because, I mean, it sounds like he paid ES&S to guarantee him a certain number of votes. They bumped it because of their algorithm, which is what Rudy's been saying about, the algorithm was saying we can't fake this many votes, and so they panicked about it. And that's their vote turned out wrong. That they went, all we got to do, we clear you the 68 million. You give us $1 million a vote or 5 million, over the course, or like $1,000 a vote for each one. We'll make it happen. And then it wasn't enough.
If I got 67 million votes, I couldn't lose. I got 75 million.
Yeah, but those people also would have told you there is no way Joe Biden gets 71 million because they were selling you a scheme.
And they say I lost. I didn't lose.
You lost.
The election was rigged.
Boo-hoo.
By who?
By the Democrats, and actually, interesting, by the Democrats, but by local Democrats.
So Donald John Trump, the greatest Republican president to ever live, the smartest person with the best words, with the best education, in the top of his class, who knows more about ISIS than the generals and more about economies than the Fed and the Fed chairman, who knows more about business than business people. That guy got his ass kicked by local election clerks in 5 cities. I'm just saying maybe they should be president then, because they certainly can deal with a threat and take it down, I guess.
Meaning state Democrats.
Oh, yeah. State Democrat. You got your ass kicked by a clerk while you were president. This is, again, why would I want you to be president even if I was a Republican at this point? Because what kind of Republican would go, I am the single greatest Republican president, if not president, period, of history, and it's more important to reelect me than any other president in history, including the first president, George Washington, where we didn't even have a country yet. We were still trying to establish the, but I'm more important than them. But I got my ass handed to me by a county clerk. I'm just saying, next time, kick Pence to the side and make your VP a county clerk. Yeah, state Democrats kicked his ass. Local, and he'll get,
They outsmarted state Republicans.
And apparently you.
You know what I do?
What do you do?
2 things.
Okay, you snort Adderall and meth and shit yourself bloody.
I run a country and we
Is that what you do? I golf and
cut taxes and we did all of the things, regulations, Space Force, all of the things the VA was taking care of, like 91% approval.
I love how he sticks to whatever the highest point of the approval rating of that the government got, that the VA gets, based on changes made 10 years ago that have taken time to implement, all under Obama, as they slowly rolled forward. 91% of people, who use the VA approve of it, after many of the reforms made 8 to 10 years ago and slowly taking, time to implement, get rid of bad people, review all of them, improve all the facilities, spend all the money, Congress allocating millions, if not billions of dollars every budgetary cycle just for improvements. But it's he gets a 91% approval rating. Get out of here.
The things I did.
There you go. Doesn't even believe it. Just said it, ran through his list, and he doesn't believe it. Here, watch for the big sniff at the end. Says all of his stuff, and then takes a big lie sniff.
The VA was taken care of, like 91% approval. All of the things I did. I ran a country, and we ran it great. We've done more than any other president.
What? Look at this. He's starting to lose, Brian, and you watch him start touching his shoulder. Like, I feel like I'm losing you. I know you don't believe me, and you're going to end the interview, and I'm not done selling this.
And I have to campaign. We had the greatest campaign in history. We had the biggest crowds anyone's ever had. I did 56 rallies where the number of people were incredible.
You mean the free rallies where it was largely the same people at a bunch of them, and basically regionally everybody deadheaded to each of them? And so what? All of those people can only vote once in their particular state. A bunch of them were showing up on multiple buses that were going from state to guarantee like a 500-person row in the front of sycophantic supporters that would hold up the right stuff and cue the rest of the crowd at the same time.
Okay, incredible. Record-setting.
What record? Pick an arena band. Kiss, U2, Guns N' Roses, Alice, let's see, Foo Fighters. Foo Fighters is a great example. Everybody there pays somewhere between $50 and $100 to be in that room. The Trump rallies are free. So what?
And then
you lost.
I go home and I watch the television to see.
Because that's really your job. Because watching the television.
How we're doing. And by 10:30 in the evening, it was over. We won.
Nobody thought that. Everybody knew that half of the electorate was mailing their votes in this time because of COVID. Nobody. Honest to God. He says this so by 10 o'clock. Is that when he just passed out? Seriously, did he just black out? Just either, from an aneurysm from a big dump, or just gassed himself or snorted the wrong mix and passed out and woke up a loser?
Got calls from everybody.
Yeah, everybody called him at 10 o'clock, which is why he looked like a sweaty mess an hour and a half later.
Saying pros.
Totally pros. All the people that I had paid to throw the election for me in Ohio and Florida, they're like, you got Ohio and Florida. Money well spent. Yeah, no matter what the polls said, we got you well over 6% in each one of them. Yeah, totally covered. Yeah, you got this locked. We got Florida, we got Ohio. You put all your money and all your chips in on those two states just to prove it. And, last time it was close in those Rust Belt states, but screw them. You're building ships in one. You said gas and guns and God and the other ones. That should be plenty, right? They don't have to know that they're losing jobs hand over fist. Yeah.
People you know very well saying congratulations.
What people? Name one. Who are they? Who are these assholes? He talks about them all in pros. These people called me. Everybody was calling me. They were going, you've won so much. Who, your kid?
I say, let's not go so fast. I don't trust these machines.
Right. Yeah, the pros. Jesus Christ. He can't even, take oh, thank you. Thanks, babe. Appreciate that. Oh, a package of some sort. May I? We don't know what this thing is. I'm very excited about it. Hopefully it doesn't explode. My girlfriend just brought me a Dutch Brothers because she was out and about. She went to, we both are alternating day working out. So she went and worked out today, and then I go out tomorrow and that kind of thing. And yeah. And what's this? I don't know. It might be a. We don't know. Oh, I know what that is. Okay, good. Yeah. Gotcha. All right. Now I know. Now I understand. All right. There we go. So, I'm organizing all my lenses and stuff. So it's a organizing lens cap thing. Yeah. Murph did not break in. We're not in Arizona, Nevada, but that they have them here as well. And we got hey guys, we have our I mean we may have seen more, but we have our first who the hell is Hal Sparks troll. I think that's on everybody's bingo card, right? That's a nickel tweet. We have, I think the troll statements, there's like penny ones. That's a nickel. It used to be a quarter. Now it's not really. But in case anybody wants to know, or that person wants to know, I'm the person eating your time. I'm the person who you can't get your time back from. You're watching my show, and you can't ever escape. And the best thing about it is, I know you'll probably log off now and whine and that kind of stuff about it, but you won't. You'll have me in your head for the next 48 hours telling you you're a loser for going to someone's page and going, who the hell are you? Right? So enjoy that. Next time you look in a mirror or you're walking down steps, it'll happen then. You'll be walking down the steps and you'll go, who the hell is Hal Sparks? How does this guy dare to, how am I going to, and that just means I'm living rent free in your house as you're, in your head as you're trying to walk steps in your own house. And there you go. Yeah. Who the hell is Hal Sparks? I'm the man. That's who I am. But I am indeed, you're in my home amongst my friends. So there you go. Yes, I am also Zoltan. But I also, yes, I have eaten your time and you will never get it back. The rest of us enjoy our times together. You gave yours away. It's adorable. We used to have so much hope for trolls. We really did. All right.
A lot of bad things happen with these people.
These people, these people. What people are those?
And in essentially 5 or 6 states, the local people who run
it
rigged the election.
Did they now? So you got your ass kicked by the clerks in 5 states.
And tens of thousands. Remember they stopped the counting in the evening?
Yeah, when they were done counting and they tabulated for another 2 hours and then they came back the next morning, especially in the areas where Republican legislatures had stopped them from accepting mail-in ballots till the next morning. So they finished all the in-person voting and then started again.
Remember Georgia when they said, oh, we had a big flood.
No one said we had a big flood.
Had a pipeline break, a major water pipeline.
Nobody said we had a major water pipeline break.
It turned out to be a false thing.
They fixed it. It took 2 hours. Everyone kept working. They moved 2 tables out of the way. Do I do stand-up comedy? I do when the world is normal. Yeah. Not right now because places are closed, and even the ones that are opened, I had gigs on the books. I took them down because I don't want to kill my fans.
And everybody, Brian, everybody ran out. They all ran out.
Right. Is this how it went? Tell us the story. This is good because we've all heard Rudy's version. I want to hear Trump's.
To be a false thing. Mm-hmm. And everybody, Brian,
Wait, turned out to be a false thing. Oh, the water.
Do you remember Georgia when they said, oh, we had a big flood? We had a pipeline break, a major water pipeline break. It turned out to be a
Thank you, Dennis.
false thing. And everybody, Brian, everybody ran out. They all ran out. Right. And where's the pipeline? Guess what? There was no pipeline. That was the people where they took all of those ballots, all of those Biden ballots, under the table with the black dress, and they took them and they started shoving them into
the black dress. You mean the tablecloth?
Machine.
The tabulation documents for the votes that already been counted? Okay, dude, the broken water main that was a busted toilet or whatever the plumbing issue was resolved in 2 hours, and it was done the next morning. It had nothing to do with that night. I don't mind if you have some conspiracy theory about them asking people to leave a room during a flooding thing, but you can't screw with time like that.
What happened to this country is that we were like a third world country.
Yeah, and whose fault is that? Fish stinks from the head. So, under the presidency of Donald John Trump, 5 cities can turn the United States of America into a third world country. I'm guessing there are no other presidents where that was allowed to or possibly happened. Seriously. When's the last time any president, Republican or Democrat, had 5 states that could turn the United States into a third world country.
And I do worry about the fact, you know, you asked the question, illegitimate president.
Yes, you are one. You are, yeah, but we've lived with it, you know.
That's what I worry about.
Is that what you worry about? Being an illegitimate president, trying to win even though you lost?
So let's look at this. Let's play this out. If they continue to not have success in the courts,
Yeah, if they get in the courts at all.
and the 6 that get certified and transmitted, and the vice president, your Mike Pence, certifies it, would you encourage the Republican lawmakers to stand up and protest then?
Look,
No, because I'm trying to make money off this.
I just left Washington to go to the Army-Navy game.
What do you want, a cookie?
There are thousands and thousands of people out
Well, 1,000.
there. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't really know they were forming. They're forming.
They're forming?
Thousands of people out there. I had nothing to do with it. I didn't really know they were forming. They're forming.
Oh, no,
They
I'm
call
talking
it
about
organic.
congressional
No.
leaders.
I'm just saying the spirit, the liveliness, the whole thing. Even
That's how I would describe the Proud Boys in yellow kilts that mooned people with "fuck Antifa" written on their butt cheeks. That's liveliness. Is that how you would describe it?
even the fundraising, the money that's pouring into
There you go. There it is. That's what
spirit,
it is.
the liveliness,
Yeah, the liveliness of the 300,000 dead people. Is that what we're talking about?
the whole thing. Even the fundraising, the money that's pouring in to fight this.
Uh-huh. Look how excited that made him.
It's one thing to say, you know, you ran a great race. Congratulations. I'm okay with that.
Except when it's not you. Because you didn't run a great race. You screwed it up. Everybody around you tried to make you palatable, tried to make you work. You lost the debates. You screwed the pooch every time they had an issue. You couldn't stay on message. You guffed it up. You only played to your base. And you were convinced by these piles of idiots that the same people who think the earth is flat, that if you have enough of those people, then somehow it will flatten the earth.
But they didn't. They didn't run a good race. They ran.
Yeah, they did. It was disciplined. It was smart. It was COVID aware, like everybody else. It was a lived experience that everybody else had. And Biden did like town halls almost every single day virtually.
A horrible race from the basement. They ran a race where he didn't even run.
And he still kicked your ass.
What they did is they cheated. They cheated like nobody's ever cheated before that we
From a basement?
know of.
That we know of. Yeah. I mean, honestly, did Garfield really win?
Now, if you look at
The
it,
president, not the cat.
it's not even 4 or 5 states. It's 5 cities. Milwaukee, right? Detroit, Philadelphia, Atlanta. Take those, Pittsburgh, you could add.
Mm-hmm. Lots of black people in those. It's interesting.
So it's 5 cities.
Mm-hmm.
It's 4 cities. It's even 3 cities because I don't need 5. Just
No, you don't need. Yeah, I need Pennsylvania. Just give me Pennsylvania. I don't understand how I lost Pennsylvania. I won all the red counties where they didn't count the mail-in votes. And I lost the big cities because all they did was count mail-in votes. They wouldn't stop counting the mail-in votes. They kept counting them. And I don't know why.
1 second.
1 second. I'll give it. I mean, it's your interview, but
It's 4 cities. It's even 3 cities because I don't need 5. Just 1 second. They cheated like nobody's ever cheated before.
you mean by not doing it?
And they got caught, just like the spying on my campaign got caught.
Right? No, not right. Stop being hypnotized by this asshole, Brian. The force is strong with weak minds. No, he didn't get spied on. Bill Barr's quitting, and his last report that he put out was that the unmasking was legit and worthwhile. Nobody got spied on. You had criminals working in your organization.
They cheated like nobody's cheated before.
How many times are you going to say this? They're the greatest cheaters ever. I mean, I could probably cheat that good if I wanted to. How long before he starts bragging about
And
what
they
a good
got caught.
cheater he is?
So
And they got caught.
nobody can go in and say, oh, congratulations on running a good race. They didn't run a good race. They cheated. They dropped hundreds of thousands of ballots.
Right.
Where did they drop them? under rocks and in rivers.
He did things that nobody's ever seen, and we caught him.
But your guys have been unable to prove it as of now. If something happens,
Excuse me, we've proven it, but no judge has had the courage, including the Supreme Court. I am so disappointed in them. No judge,
They are so mean to me.
including the Supreme
Even the Supreme Court won't even listen to my thing, and I have evidence, okay, you guys?
Court of the United
You guys, I totally won.
States
Totally
has
did.
had the courage to allow it to be heard. The Supreme Court
300 chicken shit judges he put in, and 3 chicken shit Supreme Court justices. Because think about this. We watched all these stupid rallies, you and I. We did, didn't we? And this asshole was going off nonstop. But what was his biggest thing? Really, the most important thing is the Supreme Court and the judges. A lot of people will say, you can do a lot, but putting those lifetime appointments, those judges on there, that's what really does it. The last judge that bounced his case in Wisconsin that was like, this is not only embarrassing and stupid and unproven, it's wrong, and you have no standing, and you're wasting the court's time, and there's no evidence here. And they got an evidentiary hearing in that one. He gave them one because he was a Trump appointee. Literally, listen to what this guy's whining about. All he did was brag about the number of, the 300 judges he put on and the 3 Supreme Court justices. On and on and on about how he's greater at that than anybody. And he can't get one of them to read his evidence, which a lot of them have, and go, yeah, there's something here.
Court, all they did is say, we don't have standing.
You don't have standing. No state can tell another state how to run their elections. And if you want to federalize the system and create a uniform way to carry out federal elections, have at it. Cue Mitch McConnell telling him how it's never going to happen.
So they're saying essentially that the President of the United States and Texas and these other states, great states.
Yeah, they're great. They're awesome. They're awesome. The other states suck.
They don't have standing. They didn't go into the evidence. If you would look at the evidence, thousands of pages of
thousands of pages of they're just bouncing off the floor. This
evidence. We have over 1,000 affidavits.
No, you don't.
From people that saw tens of thousands of ballots.
Look how he's trying to stop him every time. He's like, yeah, I know you're going to call bullshit on what I'm about to say, so I have to keep touching you on the shoulder and doing this. Stop. The body language is hysterical.
Gotcha.
Gets good. No, but here's the point.
He's like, gotcha. Yeah, I got to move on because the more you talk, the dumber I'm getting.
They're winning.
And really, Kilmeade is having a difficult time anyway.
These things on little technicalities like a thing called standing.
Little technicalities like a thing called standing. That's not a technicality. You just don't get to rando sue people about stuff that doesn't affect you. That's none of your goddamn business. I can't. I've a crush on a lady down the street, so I'm going to sue both of them for divorce, so that they have to get divorced, so I have a shot. Like that's Trump wants that to be a possibility. And you get half their stuff.
Saying the President of the United States does not have standing.
Right, so that's what...
You don't. You do not have standing. You do not have standing to dictate how any state defines their elections. If you did, you would have control over them.
Was decided last night, so would you show up at the inauguration?
No. Although, well, I take it back. I actually do think there's a chance he wusses out and shows up because he gets, a cramp in his legacy thing. He's going to play footsie with Biden so he can say, I showed up at the inauguration. I was nice. I helped with the transition and all this kind of stuff. And now he's coming after me. He's sending the DOJ after me, that kind of stuff. He could do that.
Will you?
I don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. That's a yes. Listen to that again.
Last night. So would you show up at the inauguration? Will you?
I don't want to talk about that.
Mm-hmm. That's a yes.
I want to talk about this.
I want to talk about this. Let me go back to my pillow.
We've done a great job.
No, you haven't. We entered a recession in February.
I got more votes than any president in the history of our country.
And your opponent got more than any other outsider running in the history of our country. Also, the population has gone up since 18, 20.
The history of our country, right? Not even close. 75 million, far more than Obama, far more than anybody.
Well, except Biden.
And they say we lost an election. We didn't lose.
Yeah, you did. Look how he keeps, like, he can't not touch him because he's like, yeah, but you did, asshole. You did.
If I got 10 million fewer votes, they say I couldn't have lost.
Who's they? What the hell are you talking about?
This is
Just so you understand, they stuffed in a sense, it's a modern day version of
In a modern sense, they stuffed the ballot box.
stuffing the ballot
This
boxes.
has also been a historic week. Number one, the vaccine's going to start rolling.
Yeah, let me get you on another topic because I know you're full of shit. Everyone is wondering what the hell you're talking about. And as soon as this fog clears, the Secret Service is going to scoop you up.
What is going to be going through your mind as
If anything,
FedEx?
what is going through your mind and how lonely is that thought?
UPS, those flights go to 600 separate sites in all 50 states, a vaccine rolling in. What's going to be going through your mind?
If I wasn't president, according to almost everybody, even the enemy.
The enemy. Who's the enemy? China?
If I wasn't president, you wouldn't have a vaccine for 5 years, okay? I pushed the FDA and companies and
Yeah.
everybody else involved like nobody's ever been pushed before.
I pushed them like they've never been pushed before, but they cheated like nobody's ever cheated before. It's not that I'm repetitive and I have a limited vocabulary. It's that COVID brain is real.
And now you have it rolling out. And frankly, they could have done it last week. They could have even done it a week sooner, and they heard from me. But this has been a great,
Oh, they could have done it and you told them not to?
a really medical miracle. They call it a medical miracle.
No, they don't. Your people call it that because they want to deify you. It's not.
And
It would be a medical miracle if the genome had been posted online in 1965 before it even hit us.
it's going to have a tremendous impact. 95% effective. We have Moderna coming out next week very soon.
Also not a part of Operation Warp Speed,
We have Johnson & Johnson, a one-shot vaccine coming out.
which is late and part of Operation Warp Speed, the fourth one online.
All great companies.
What about an aid package for the American
it's
people?
moving
What
along.
could you do to get the $900 billion out from
Well, I want
Nancy
to do
Pelosi
it.
and Mitch
I'm pushing
McConnell?
it very hard. And to be honest with you, if the Democrats really wanted to do the deal, they do the deal. They should do it right now. I want to see checks going for more money than they're talking about going to people.
Yeah, but the Democrats aren't taking money out of that. That's the Republican hang-up. Push your people.
Hunter Biden this week has confirmed 2 investigations on him, one on Jim Biden. The word is you're disappointed that William Barr knew about this in the spring.
Well, everybody is. Who isn't disappointed?
Right.
Joe Biden lied on the
And believe me, I know you're disappointed, but you'll be even more disappointed when they finish the investigation. They go, yeah, it's nothing here.
debate stage. He said there's nothing happening,
There isn't anything.
and Bill Barr should have stepped up.
And said, no, we've created and concocted a bullshit investigation. Come on. It's this. Hi, I'm Jim Comey, and there might be something to this Hillary Clinton email server. And by the time you find out there isn't, the other guy will be president for 2 years, even though you already know.
I'll tell you what. Say what you want about Robert Mueller.
Okay. Well, he's tall. He's kind of a regal-looking dude. I like the fact that De Niro played him. Whatever. I do think he was a little. I think he acquiesced to the demands of Rod Rosenstein and Bill Barr too much. I think he was too much of an institutionalist for his own good. But I mean, he does look like his head's made out of granite. I'm just saying.
When BuzzFeed put out a phony article, I think it was BuzzFeed, but BuzzFeed put out a phony article. Bob Mueller stepped out and he said that article was a phony, and then it was ultimately proven no collusion. After 2 years, no collusion.
What? BuzzFeed's article? You mean the dossier? Does he not want to say dossier anymore because the Washington Examiner paid for it?
But Bob Mueller stood up and he interjected that
He's like, Teen Beat is totally off base.
this article was false. Bill Barr should have done the same thing.
Jonathan Turley
Bill Barr should have stood up and said this article was false.
said that he had no choice. That he would have been like James Comey again.
Yeah, that's what he was hoping for. You don't understand. That's what he wants him to do. That's what he was hired to do. We needed a Jim Comey redo.
All he had to do is say an investigation's going on.
And that's all I asked him to do, just to create pressure and to tip the vote down at least 2%. It helped me against Hillary. I thought it would do the same this time. Nobody was buying it, and it was bullshit, and everybody was ready for it, but whatever.
And by the way, I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. Whatever it is, the facts. But I don't want to see anything bad happen to Hunter Biden. And I purposely stay out of it. But when you affect...
Well, then you don't. And if you don't want anything bad to happen to him, don't bring his name up, because your followers are insane.
An election, Bill Barr, frankly, did the wrong thing. When they
I love how he just keeps tapping. Kill me.
Are saying things, making statements, and the press is purposely not reporting it. Bill Barr, I know, had an obligation to set the record straight, just like Robert Mueller set the record straight. You know, he set it straight. A very bad thing was said, and it was a false article, a false statement, which, you know, usually they are with the media.
With the BuzzFeed.
But this was a false statement. And
nobody even knows what you're talking about, dude.
Mueller stood up and he said that is a false statement. And that was a great thing. I've got to go.
Go get him.
Thank you.
I've got to go.
Mr. President.
I got to get out of here. I got this thing. I know you want to leave, and so I've got to leave first. So there, let me see if I can find, by the way, the live state electors gathering there. Let's see. I'll see if Biden speaking comes in. There you go. Let's see. Has he started yet? Oh, there we go. Oh no, that was dink. That was older. Let me go to here today. It's coming up. 4:30 my time. Okay, so in a few minutes, we'll jump back over there. Let me grab a channel where I can actually see it. Yeah. I'll find a good version of it. By the way, it's Dr. Jill Biden, just for the record, to anybody who's wondering. And anybody who shares a first initial and a last name with Jeffrey Epstein should be very careful about how people allow someone else to define them. Just saying. This on here? We'll talk about that. See, this one has it listed at 5 o'clock. What's going on? I feel cheated. We'll figure it out. You guys let me know if it kicks in. But let's go to... Check this out. So, wait, hold on. Here we go. Rudy. So, Rudy got COVID. And Rudy's going to tell you guys all about his experiences with COVID. It's going to be wonderful. And you're going to learn so much about what it's like. And, yes. This is where he's starting his show. I think this might be an attempt at humor.
Hello, I'm Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, God.
With Rudy's Common Sense. You see, I have a mask on. This is my first day back from the hospital after a short stay.
Yes, he's definitely all roided up, for sure.
Dealing with CCP virus.
And now, by the way, he's calling it the CCP virus, which is what... the Epoch Times and the anti-Chinese Chinese people, Chinese American groups that are anti-Chinese Communist Party, anti-Chinese government, call it. They call it the CCP virus. It's, it's a weird affectation. Most of Trump's crowd calls it the Kung flu and all that kind of stuff, or calls it the China virus. The CCP virus is very distinct to a certain crowd, which means that's what he's been watching a lot of OAN and Newsmax and Epoch Times.
My bout, my fight, my individual fight.
Your fight that other people fought for you, you mean?
With the disease, the plague set upon us by China, either deliberately or, if not deliberately, taking advantage.
Oh, so they either did it deliberately, meaning that Donald Trump was the president during the worst bioweapon attack in the history of our country, and failed miserably, and his only counterattack was to sell them corn, or
of a situation in which they could do tremendous damage to the United
but
States.
they just let it happen. So they knew that they could have yelled at the kid in the street to save his life, but they just went, it's better for me if the car hits him.
And to the world, which of course they did. And now I'd like to give you my own perspectives on it, because having once gone through it, I believe you can have a somewhat different perspective on it, although...
Great, he's going to teach us a few things. Although what, Rudy? Meanwhile, he's got more notes about this visible than he does with his evidence, his quote-unquote evidence that we see.
Although it hasn't changed all that much.
He's on? Oh, Biden's on? Hold on. Where is it? Where'd it go? Oh, let me see if... Maybe it's on here. What in the world? I have the strangest people sending me things. Biden 302. There we go. Is he going to give... They certify it? Who is this? Who is... What kind of game is that? Oh, it's the SOG dude. I get it. Okay, cool. Hold on. Let's see. Biden speaks.
And strong. The Electoral College votes, which occurred today, reflect the fact that even in the face of the public health crisis, unlike anything we've experienced in our lifetimes, the people voted. They voted in record numbers. More Americans voted this year than have ever voted in the history of the United States of America. Over 155 million Americans were determined to have their voices heard and their votes counted. In the start of this pandemic, this crisis, many were wondering how many Americans would actually vote at all. But those fears proved to be unfounded. We saw something very few predicted, even thought possible. The biggest voter turnout in the history of the United States of America. A number so big that this election now ranks as the clearest demonstration of the true will of the American people. One of the most amazing demonstrations of civic duty we've ever seen in our country. It should be celebrated, not attacked. More than 81 million of those votes were cast for me and Vice President-elect Harris. That, too, is a record. More than any ticket has received in the history of America. It represents a winning margin of more than 7 million votes over the number of votes cast for my opponent. Together, the Vice President-elect Harris and I,
by the way, he just had ice cream.
306 electoral votes.
That's why he's going.
Well exceeding the 270 electoral votes needed.
They celebrated with ice cream.
306 electoral votes is the same number of electoral votes that Donald Trump and Vice President Pence received when they won in 2016. Excuse me. At the time, President Trump called the Electoral College tally a landslide. By his own standards, these numbers represented a clear victory then, and I respectfully suggest they do so now. Mm-hmm. If anyone didn't know before, they know now. What beats deep in the hearts of the American people is this: democracy, the right to be heard, to have your vote counted, to choose leaders of this nation, to govern ourselves. In America, politicians don't take power. People grant power to them. The flame of democracy was lit in this nation a long time ago. And we now know nothing, not even a pandemic or an abuse of power, can extinguish that flame. And as the people kept it aflame, so too did courageous state and local officials and election workers. Mm-hmm. American democracy works because America makes it work at a local level. One of the extraordinary things we saw this year was that everyday Americans, our friends and our neighbors, often volunteers, Democrats, Republicans, independents, demonstrating absolute courage. They showed a deep and unwavering faith in and a commitment to the law. They did their duty in the face of a pandemic. And then they could not and would not give credence to what they knew was not true. They knew this election was overseen. It was overseen by them. It was honest. It was free. And it was fair. Mm-hmm. They saw it with their own eyes. And they wouldn't be bullied into saying anything different. It was truly remarkable. because so many of these patriotic Americans are subject to so much enormous political pressure, verbal abuse, and even threats of physical violence. While we all wish that our fellow Americans in these positions will always show such courage and commitment to free and fair elections, it is my sincere hope we never again see anyone subjected to the kind of threats and abuse we saw in this election. It's simply unconscionable. We owe these public servants a debt of gratitude. They didn't seek the spotlight. You know, and our democracy survived because of them, which is proof, once more, that it's everyday Americans infused with honor, character, and decency that is the heart of this nation. You know, in this election, their integrity was matched by their strength, independence, and the integrity of our judicial system. In America, when questions are raised about the legitimacy of any election, those questions are resolved through the legal processes. And that's precisely what happened here.
A lot.
The Trump campaign brought
again.
dozens and dozens and dozens of legal challenges to test the result.
Well,
They were heard
posted
again
it.
and again.
Rambling.
And each of the times they were heard, they were found to be without merit. Time and again, President Trump's lawyers presented arguments to state officials, state legislatures, state and federal courts, and ultimately to the United States Supreme Court twice. They were heard by more than 80 judges across this country, and in every case, no cause or evidence was found to reverse or question or dispute the results. A few states went for recounts. All the counts were confirmed. The results in Georgia were counted 3 times. Didn't change the outcome. The recount conducted in Wisconsin actually saw our margin grow. The margin we had in Michigan was 14 times the margin President Trump won that state by 4 years ago. Our margin in Pennsylvania was nearly twice the size of the Trump margin 4 years ago. And yet, none of this has stopped baseless claims about the legitimacy of the results. Even more stunning, 17 Republican attorneys general and 126 Republican members of the Congress actually signed on to a lawsuit.
I'm sorry, bring this up. There you go. So it's a little more of the window. Quit it. Go back. Live.
Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. This legal maneuver was an effort by elected officials and one group of states to try to get the Supreme Court to wipe out the votes of more than 20 million Americans in other states, and to hand the presidency to a candidate who lost the Electoral College, lost the popular vote, and lost each and every one of the states whose votes they were trying to reverse. It's a position so extreme, we've never seen it before. A position that refused to respect the will of the people, refused to respect the rule of law, and refused to honor our Constitution. Thankfully, a unanimous Supreme Court immediately and completely rejected this effort. The court sent a clear signal to President Trump that there would be no part of an unprecedented assault on our democracy. Every single avenue was made available to President Trump to contest the results. He took full advantage of each and every one of those avenues. President Trump was denied no course of action he wanted to take. He took his case to Republican governors and Republican Secretary of State, as he criticized many of them, to Republican state legislatures, to Republican-appointed judges at every level. And in a case decided after the Supreme Court's latest rejection, a judge appointed by President Trump wrote, quote, "This court has allowed the plaintiff the chance to make his case, and he has lost on the merits." End of quote. Lost on the merits.
Ouch.
Even President Trump's own cybersecurity chief, overseeing our elections, said it was the most secure election in American history, and summarily was let go. Let me say it again. His own cybersecurity chief, overseeing this election, said it was the most secure in American history. You know, respecting the will of the people is at the heart of our democracy, even when we find those results hard to accept. But that's the obligation of those who've taken on a sworn duty to uphold the Constitution. 4 years ago, when I was a sitting vice president of the United States, it was my responsibility to announce the tally of the Electoral College votes in the joint session of Congress that voted to elect Donald Trump. I did my job. And I'm pleased, but not surprised, by the number of my former Republican colleagues in the Senate who have acknowledged already the results of the Electoral College. I thank them, and I'm convinced we can work together for the good of the nation on many subjects. That's the duty owed to the people, to our Constitution, to our history. You know, in this battle for the soul of America, democracy prevailed. We, the people,
Making
voted.
me clear my throat.
Faith in our institutions held. The integrity of our elections remains intact. And now it's time to turn the page, as we've done throughout our history, to unite, to heal. As I said in this campaign, I will be president for all Americans. I'll work just as hard for those of you who didn't vote for me as I will for those who did. There's urgent work in front of us. Getting this pandemic under control and getting the nation vaccinated against this virus. Delivering immediate economic help so badly needed by so many Americans who are hurting today. And then building our economy back better than it ever was. In doing so, we need to work together to give each other a chance to lower the temperature.
Indeed.
And most of all, we need to stand in solidarity as fellow Americans, to see each other, our pains, our struggles, our hopes, and our dreams. We're a great nation. We're good people. We may come from different places, hold different beliefs, but we share in common a love for this country, a belief in its limitless possibilities.
I'm dead serious. He just had ice cream to celebrate winning again
United
with the
States of
kids,
America
and that's why
has
he's
always
phlegmy.
set the example for the world
It's not lung phlegm, you can tell.
for a peaceful transition of power. We'll do so again. I know the task before us won't be easy. It's tempered by the pain so many of us are feeling. Today, our nation passed a grim milestone: 300,000 deaths due to this COVID virus. My heart goes out to each of you in this dark winter of the pandemic, about to spend the holidays and the new year with a black hole in your hearts, without the ones you loved at your side. My heart goes out to all of you who have fallen in hard times through no fault of your own, unable to sleep at night, staring at the ceiling, and weighed down by the worry of what tomorrow will bring for you, and equally important for your family. But we've faced difficult times before in our history. I know we'll get through this one, but together. That's how we get through it, together. So as we start the hard work to be done, may this moment give us the strength to rebuild this house of ours upon a rock that can never be washed away. As in the prayer of St. Francis, for where there is discord, union. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is darkness, light. This is who we are as a nation. This is the America we love. And that is the America we're going to be.
Oh, it skipped ahead on that thing. Dunk. Well, that's nice. Yeah, he just, again, by the way, he clearly had ice cream right before he came out, and that's what that was. Gotcha. Thanks, CFSL. I didn't see how much of that was, and I didn't know whether it was necessary. But that is. I don't get concerned. Over the course of this, but let's see. Shall we go back to Rudy?
So I'm just wearing the mask to show you that, by and large, you should wear a mask, but not when you're
By and large.
10, 20 feet away.
Thanks. Yay, new patron.
Away from people. At this point, the chances of my being infecting people are very, very small, if at all. And in any event, I am very far from anyone that I could possibly infect. So I would just be wearing it for effect and we've been doing way too much for
what they do,
effect.
set the camera up and leave the room?
So I feel somewhat like Douglas R. MacArthur when he came back to the Pacific Islands after having to withdraw, and he said, I have returned. And I have returned because I believe we are in a battle, and you can't take too much time away from it. This year, we've been in a battle for
your pardon.
A right of free speech, which
you are exercising right here, and I am exercising by taking a steaming shit on all of your so-called evidence every day.
Continues and gets worse with the attacks that are made on us by big tech every single day.
It's terrible. Big tech, they're terrible. Imagine what would happen if you had to post your show on YouTube, Rudy. If they would not allow you to say. Imagine if your show was a YouTube channel that you actually have all of the time. Oh God.
Taking away the right of free speech here and there and everywhere.
Here and there and everywhere. Yes, children, it's time for bedtime stories with Uncle Rudy. Here and there and everywhere, with truth and censorship.
Taking away the right of free speech during the presidential campaign.
What right of free speech was that?
Taking away the right of free speech now to deal with the fraud that has gone on during the campaign. I believe we're
yelling fraud in a crowded theater is fraud. Not letting you do it is not a violation of your free speech.
In battle to keep our freedom of religion, given the tremendous incursions made on freedom of religion.
Thank you, Aisle 13. I appreciate the. I don't know what the name is under. Which is it, Kelly? There was a like on one. I think. Oh no, that was the one that went out. I think.
Several dictatorial governors who treat religion as if it's a
gathering of people who might end up in killing that gathering of people.
Non-essential anything, much less essential than strip clubs and who knows what else.
I don't know. That's not where my mind would have gone immediately, but okay.
And now, a tremendous assault on our right to have a free, fair, and transparent election.
A tremendous assault on it? Is that how you're defining your attacks?
And an ability to emerge from this CCP virus as a country that can go on with a relatively normal way of life.
Well, I mean, some of us start a little closer to normal than others, right, Rude?
And not be, not have it used as a way for those who want to exercise power over us and take away our rights and make arbitrary decisions about us, making those decisions. So let me tell you.
What decisions would those be? That large groups shouldn't gather because they have no system to track and trace, and the president's in charge of that, but he doesn't give a rat's ass?
My history with.
Oh, Benny Loco's birthday. Happy birthday, Benny Loco. We love you. We hope you're well, by the way. We've been thinking about you.
With this very bad illness.
Very bad illness. And you can tell because I've written my notes on the backs of other pieces of paper on my yellow legal pad, as if they don't give you free paper in those kind of hotel rooms.
I've been exposed to
Alan Dershowitz's penis. The downwind draft from Trump's ass. What is it? You've been exposed to what?
CCP virus almost from the very beginning.
You're just going to skip those 2 pages?
Which would go back to
October of last year?
February, March of this year. I've had 4 major exposures to it from friends, from relatives, and then, of course, twice with regard to the White House. Once.
You mean the people that got it at events you were at? These were exposures for you, though.
During the preparation for the debates, there were 4 to 5 other people.
By the way, that's Chinese Communist Party when he says CCP, in case you don't know.
In a 3-4 day session with me that all came down with CCP virus, some serious and some not so serious. And I was tested several times for it. I didn't have it. I tested before that, didn't have it. I've probably been tested about 20 times for it and didn't have it. And then I was with the president on Air Force One right before he contracted it. I didn't get it.
And we're not talking about syphilis, by the way. He still has that.
But I never lulled myself into the belief that I wouldn't get it. I didn't think there was such a thing as an immunity to it, a natural immunity to it. I was always ready for it.
You were? Did you just walk around with a disease catcher's mitt? Mouth open, tongue out?
Always took precautions about it, washed my hands, wore a mask where it was necessary to wear a mask,
Well, apparently not.
and tried to stay away from situations that would be
By the way, his eyes don't go just wide when he's lying. They largely go wide when he's ignorant of what he's saying, but he tries to appear earnest in I mean it, about stuff that he doesn't get. That's what that is.
particularly
I don't know what I'm saying, but it's true. It sounds true. That is.
infectious. But I also didn't lock myself in a basement, lock myself away from life, and did feel that some of the reaction to it was way overdone. Not so much at the beginning. At the beginning, when we didn't know how bad it was, when we didn't know how tremendous the mortality rate might be, when we didn't have any therapeutics or any hope of a vaccine, when we didn't really know how to treat it at all.
What, that was when you were okay with it?
I could see the overreaction, if you want to call it that. Thought the president made a brilliant decision in February in cutting off China.
After 28 other countries did?
Probably even more
Why did he wait a whole weekend? If he was going to cut off the travel, why did he let 4 more days of people traveling?
brilliant now when we realized that China knew about it even longer and deliberately spread it or let it spread. Thought the president made the right decision when he shut
problem,
things
Green Bay.
down. Maybe in retrospect it might not have been necessary, but it was necessary certainly given the facts of the time. And it certainly saved
See, listen to him wheeze his wheezy breath, too.
a lot of lives. Combination of those two things probably saved 2-3 million American lives, because had it spread another month or two in the United States, it'd be that much more devastating.
There, he's got the same Band-Aid Trump had because they got the same, he got the monoclonal antibody treatment.
But as time went on, and as we developed based on Operation Warp Speed and the very exceptional things that someone like Donald Trump can do to getting things done miraculously quickly.
Really? These are the things that Donald Trump can do to get things done miraculously quickly. What? What are those things?
We've pretty quickly got to learn about an illness. Now, I want you just to reflect.
So it was Trump that had the Chinese upload the genome of the disease in January of this year.
On this.
Uh-huh.
I became ill last week.
Well, with COVID.
I became ill 7 days ago. And the illness that I got was an illness that I didn't know about. Most other people didn't know about a year ago today. The medicines I got, nobody knew about a year ago today.
No, we'll guess. We'll see what medicines he's talking about.
And I was in and out of the hospital in 3 days, and I had a fairly serious case of it. Not the mildest, not the strongest, but I am 76 years old. I am in the risk category, and I had what I would regard as a moderate to serious case of it, and I'll describe it to you.
Great. Super.
But I'll describe it to you, giving you hope that you're going to beat this. When I say you're going to...
What, are they playing this video in hospitals when people on ventilators like, Rudy Giuliani.
beat it, it doesn't mean everybody's going to beat it.
You might die. Turn the video off. It isn't helping.
Not everybody beats cancer, and not everybody beats flu, and not everybody beats anything.
I feel much better.
But the chances
He really is America's mayor. Why didn't you say this at 9/11?
are now that you are. This is in the category of a curable disease. You know, when my father got prostate cancer, the chances of his dying were pretty high. When I got prostate cancer, the chance of my dying was 10%. When I got this, the
Yeah, because time moves forward.
chance of my dying was less than that.
And thank God for Donald Trump sticking his finger in your ass when he did, or you wouldn't. You would have. I mean, early detection is the key.
In fact, even at the height of coronavirus or CCP virus, my chance of dying from it was less than I faced 20 years ago. So possibly that gives me a little perspective that you don't let risk in life stop you from living.
No, but you manage within the circle of risk you're operating with and your awareness of what the options are in that risk. What's the percentage chances? How is the spread coming? How much are you aware of the actual details? Like how aware are you of the case rate and numbers in your area? Are you in a state where your governor is taking it seriously and they're publishing real numbers so you can make an informed decision? 10% of my state has it. I think I'm okay to go to the grocery store as long as I wash my hands and wear a mask. Or are you in Florida where they're lying their ass off and it's like 47% and you're flipping a coin if you go to the store?
It guides you in making your decisions.
Yes, it does. And even though you've already had it, and I probably won't meet you until after I've had the vaccine, I'm still not going to shake your hand because this is just the beginning of your comorbidities.
You make them a little more prudently. You make them a little more carefully.
Yeah, is that you've learned from this, Rudy? Have you? You've grown.
But you don't run away from the important things in life.
No, like dying of a disease you could have avoided if you weren't so risky about nothing.
Because airplanes crash and we're frightened of it sometimes, we don't not fly because we realize that by and large airplanes are safe and the statistical possibility of it's happening is less than the statistical possibility of dying in an automobile.
Hi, asshole. Plane crashes aren't contagious. Also, if you take a plane ride that you survive, you don't pass on the chance of a plane crash to someone else or make their plane crash because you flew on a plane that made it. You don't carry the bad luck of a possible plane crash to someone else in a shittier plane that you don't know.
One of the things that has happened to us over this year, maybe because of the way it was politicized, is the whole analysis
by the president.
The risk has been thrown way off. And it's hurt our country. It's hurt.
Really? You just took the risk. You're just like, screw it. I got it. I wrote it out. It's not that big a deal. I didn't take anything. I was able to handle it. I stayed home. I felt like shit for like 4 days. I'm good.
Our economy.
Right? Is that what we're going to find out, Rudy? Or are we going to find out you got special treatments that the rest of the country can't get, and that's why you're walking around?
And now it's breaking my heart to see what it's doing to American small business, which we'll talk about in a minute. But let me tell you about my illness so that maybe it'll give you some indications of what to look for.
Let me guess. Syphilis with herpes that has warts.
I am a very big believer because probably saved my life with prostate cancer, and to some extent, if not saved my life, certainly shortened the illness of CCP virus, of early detection, or as
Oh, you mean because you're the president's lawyer, you get tested more often than the average person?
early as possible. So we realize this illness is out there. We have to look for the symptoms of it.
You have access to an early detection test. You and everybody at the RNC gets one. The Trump administration gave you one. You have one of the Abbott ones. You guys can take it multiple times a day. Everybody around you is forced to take it, so you don't have to take it as often because the people you come in contact with have to overuse it so that you can underuse it. You mean like that?
And we have to be
Shit poor people have.
smart enough to report them.
Rudy is not in the administration. No, but he is the president's lawyer, and he comes in regular contact with him in theory, so he has access to the same thing.
To a doctor or a healthcare professional as quickly as possible so they can be diagnosed. I'm not going to say I passed that test completely. A couple of times I did, because a couple of times I was exposed, and immediately upon being exposed, within one day I went for
I tucked my dick in and ran off camera.
a test, reported my symptoms
Every time he's exposed, he has the same response. Stuff your shirt, your pants, and run out of the hotel room.
to the doctor.
Thanks, Lee.
This particular time, though, I had symptoms.
Yes, vitamin D3 and zinc, folks. Please take that. It will keep your immune system from overreacting and protect your lungs. Within reason.
I probably did have symptoms for a few days. I was traveling.
So you were symptomatically spreading it to a bunch of other people, and you didn't regularly wear a mask because you're an
I was
asshole.
traveling very Very, very.
So you managed to be on a plane that had a little bumps. You know, it was a little shaky, but it ultimately landed okay. But you were, the good thing about that flight was, while you landed okay, you were able to clip the wings of other planes that were going in the other direction, full of people you didn't even know, and make them crash because you're an asshole.
Very, very fast, and going to one state after another, testifying in hearings concerning the elections.
And you probably would have helped the case a lot more if you'd have just stayed home and not gotten COVID.
Gone in 5 days to 4 states. They've gone to Pennsylvania, to
Michigan, Wisconsin, Georgia, and
Michigan, to Arizona, and to Georgia. And done about 5 or 6 hearings in that period of time.
Yeah, we've watched them.
Preparing.
They're hilarious.
Witnesses, really stressful hearings.
Well, yeah, gave you gas.
Because some of the people with...
It's very, very stressful. Imagine how it was for Jenna. Her eyes still haven't stopped watering.
Threatened. Some of the people were threatened.
She's like, please give me COVID so I can lose my sense of smell if I'm going to have to work with this asshole.
Because this whole anti-Trump thing has become a horrible sickness. A horrible sickness that's eating away at the soul of many people. That's encouraging them to threaten to kill and take away jobs. And
threaten to kill and take away jobs? Not only are you going to be dead, but I'm going to get you fired.
Destroy families of people who just testify that they saw cheating and they saw fraud. And they saw ballots being counted and they saw names being changed on ballots. They saw ballots being backdated.
Yeah, they didn't though. They're not threatened that they're going to lose their job because they said these things. They're losing their jobs and losing friendships and relationships because they are about those things. Like his key, I'm like, I can't even make friends anymore. I can't get a job. Well, yeah, because you just got off probation for computer fraud, talked down from first-degree obscenity, and you were fired and had to work for a temp agency that put you on to help with paper jams on election day.
Some people, even Democrats, who were shocked at what they saw.
God.
And then all of a sudden, their names are given out, and we have to get protection for them. We had several of those situations.
All of the people testifying at Rudy's little gatherings at the Ramada were wearing condoms or dental dams.
Were kind of tense. This would be a good time to take a break.
Really? Why? What the hell has happened? So what?
My friends, if you want
why are you? Is it Sunday school? What's happening?
To help preserve America right now, while you still can, join AMAC, the Association of Mature American Citizens, the fastest.
AMAC? Did they know the people from ASOG? From ASOG? I'm jumping through this. We're not gonna.
That I'm worn down. Somewhere about the Rudy. Welcome back to our discussion.
Yes, we are having a discussion after all.
So probably somewhere about the middle of the week, I was probably worn down. I never admit that I'm worn down.
No, you never.
Feeling a little tired.
Never. You can always, sometimes, sometimes you're a little bushed. You got to lay back in front of a 15-year-old and undo your pants.
But I didn't have the symptoms like a cough. Didn't have the symptoms yet like a fever. So I just thought, well, I'm just normally tired. I think I had been home. I might have called my doctor and gotten a check right away. But I didn't. Came home, worked over the weekend.
So if I had been home, I would have gotten checked, but I wasn't. So I came home and I didn't.
Did what I had to do. Did all my legal work, my other work.
Did your legal work, your other work. I had to do a little bit of tilling in the garden. I had those bodies to remove from the crawl space and take out to the regular dump site. I had,
my radio show on Sunday morning.
Which is super good. Never heard it. Look at that.
And then all of a sudden, after a radio show, which I luckily do with Dr. Maria Ryan, who is a nurse practitioner and the CEO of a hospital and a very, very fine medical professional, she noticed that I looked pale.
Didn't have enough orange on that day?
She noticed that I seemed a little warm. And
ew!
Then she put a
Oh no. Oh no. What'd you put?
a blood oxygen level,
Cuff.
whatever you call it, on my
Cuff.
finger, and
Ew.
she saw it went down to 88.
It went down to 88. I was home by myself, and it just I just happened to have a nurse practitioner. She just comes over and does stuff around the house. It was part of my other work. Anyways,
And she said, "Oh my goodness, that's very, very bad." I said, "Oh, what does that matter, 88?" She said, "Oh, that's way below what it should be. And we've got to get you someplace where you can get just a little bit of oxygen. And they have to take a look at this. And I think you have symptoms of COVID." I said, "Oh, no. I'm not going to a hospital."
I got purple lips. I'm dizzy. I always sound like shit.
And then she got my son on the phone, and he said the same. Finally, she got Dr. Connolly on the phone from the White House, who I've gotten to know.
You know, like every other American gets, you know, the average American in their 70s, you know, first a nurse practitioner is just hanging around their house all day, has an oxygen cuff for their finger that tells their oxygen level. And then if that doesn't even convince the person, their kid calls, and then the president's surgeon himself is, you know, calls the president's physician calls personally. And, you know, like, you know, it happens to my mom all the time.
With President Trump, and combination of three doctors, Dr. Ryan, Dr. Connolly, and now Dr. Andrew Giuliani, who took over my care for 3 straight days. They got me to go to the hospital, and thank good they did.
Thank good they did.
Care for 3 straight days. They got me to go to the hospital, and thank good they did. Thank goodness they did. Because when I got there, I finally admitted to them I had somewhat of a shortness of breath. I had a
You still do?
fever, and I had a mild cough. Not a racking cough, not a painful cough, which could fool you to some extent. And when they took x-rays and CT and whatever, turned out I had COVID pneumonia, which I didn't know. And I didn't know because I had no pain. I had no pain from the pneumonia.
By the way, there's an ambulance coming to get him right now.
I thought of pneumonia as being painful. So remember,
I thought of pneumonia as being painful. You know when your lungs just hurt?
this pneumonia can be different. It can be without pain, without symptoms. The symptoms you got to look for are the fever, the fatigue, the shortness of breath, the
ambulance coming to get you.
the low oxygen level.
You know, the normal stuff.
There are a lot of things to look at. And again, the faster you get
Thank you, Lee.
to it, the more moderate and the better the treatment can be. And I was,
On fire, apparently.
I don't know the right way to describe where I was in the
Well, I'm glad you took notes.
process. I was beyond early stage.
Help?
I certainly wasn't late stage. It was somewhere probably
Mid-stage? You were Goldilocks stage? You were in the Goldilocks stage.
beyond the early stage, going into the middle stage.
Yeah, but early to middle. I was kind of in the brunch stage, if you will.
And so I needed
A shrink, a psychiatrist, drugs,
I needed some
cocaine, crushed Sudafed from the green box, Adderall, and methamphetamines. Pervitin, that's what it is. Pervitin. I always forget the name. That's funny.
some oxygen.
You know, that international sign for oxygen.
2 liters of oxygen for a while to get the
2 liters of oxygen for a while. How long can you make? How long can you make this 2 liters of oxygen last? I don't know. If you leave it on the counter too long, the fizz goes out. Well, that's true.
blood level back.
Fleet's enema. Yeah, I needed a little nose enema. I needed that thing they sell which shoots water. The future of neti pots, where it shoots water and it sucks it out the other side and washes your.
And then very
nostrils.
quickly, they administered
A psychological exam. Man, woman, person, COVID-19.
the medicines.
The medicines. Here come the medicines. What are the medicines?
They administered remdesivir.
What? They what?
The medicines.
Okay.
They administered remdesivir.
Remdesivir. Wasn't he one of the Knights of the Round Table who dance whenever they're able, who do routines, call out scenes? All right. He means remdesivir, but it's not like the president says it all the time.
which is the new medicine that's been developed within the last...
In the last 10 seconds, because it didn't exist. Remdesivir is a thing. Remdesivir, no one's ever heard of.
Less than a year.
Sir Remdesivir.
For dealing with the viral load.
Ew.
Of...
that gets all over your face from the glory hole over your shoulder when you're back at home.
Of
COVID brain.
CP virus. Decadron, which is a very, very powerful steroid.
Dexamethasone. That's the Decadron is one of the official, like the pharmaceutical names for it. It's dexamethasone,
which begins to reduce the inflammation all around the body, but particularly
remdesivir. By the way, again, discovered the efficacy of it was discovered against COVID-19 by the South Koreans. Dexamethasone, or Decadron as he's calling it, which is the product name for it, was discovered by the Brits using their GEA, their public government-funded healthcare system.
In the lungs, because I had the... and then I got...
You had what in your lungs?
Body, but particularly in the lungs, because I had the... And then I got...
You had the what? You had the leftover... what was in your lungs besides the...
Right. 4 days of that.
4 days of dexamethasone and remdesivir, of which there is not enough for the general public, which is why we have 300,000 deaths. This asshole got pushed to the front of the line. This is like a guy bragging about buying a kidney when other people have to wait in line. Kidney disease is nothing to sneeze at, but I don't want you to live in fear of it. If you're like me and you know the president personally, you can be pushed to the front of the line and get one of these kidneys, Chinese dissonant, whatever they got, they get a CCP kidney, just chuck that sucker in there. It's a little rough for 4 days, but I'm back up and around right now.
And I got 1 day of Regeneron, which is the not as yet approved.
Yeah, like everybody. And it's REGN-CoV-2. It's not Regeneron. Regeneron's the name of the goddamn company. It's nice to know that Trump isn't the only idiot making this mistake.
FDA approved medicine for which you can get an exception if you're willing to take, whatever risk there is, which I was willing to take because Dr. Connolly had used it.
And arranged for it for you from the actual company?
For President Trump, was very confident in it.
Yeah, not everyone survives anything. This is true.
And I must say, so was Dr. Trump. Very confident in it. And
Dr. Trump.
And I took that along with a flu shot and some other...
By the way, he's talking about Don Jr., because they call Don Jr. Dr. Trump because he shows up with the powder.
Medicines. And I must say, I recovered. The doctor thought it was almost miraculous how fast.
It's not miraculous. You're full of steroids, and you have an antibody treatment that is temporary, that will last a little while until you either get the vaccine or you develop immunity.
Yes, I recovered. And from the first...
Meanwhile, other people are dying all over the place because they don't have access to this shit.
Day, even to the second day, there was remarkable recovery. By the third day, I was just about fully recovered. On the fourth day, I was able to leave, and now it's the end of the fifth day, and I feel 100%.
Really? Because you're kind of breathing shallow, more than usual.
So what do I have to do now?
What do you have to do now?
Now I have to
continue dexamethasone for days and think that you can lift the world because you're on steroids?
Just heal.
Just heal. Healed.
Still have to keep expanding my breathing. I have an interesting little machine that I use here. Would you like to see it? You may have to use it someday.
No. What am I about to watch? What is about to happen? This is, oh my God. They gave Rudy his own oral fleshlight. What is this? What is it? It's a penis pump. Ah! Ha, 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 ha. And it froze? Really? That's where it froze? Just to torture me? What the hell happened? Stop it. Why did you... Don't freeze on me. What? This is awful. Stop. Oh, God. Thank God. All right.
It helps a lot. I've tripled my ability with that.
Tripled your ability from having COVID? Ew.
It helps a lot. I've tripled my ability with that. Makes me feel very, very good. I probably have more energy now than I had before I went in.
Yeah, you look great.
And I'm very, very thankful for the care. So let me thank the doctors, first of all, and put it on record.
Yeah, put it on record that you thank the doctors from the White House that gave you treatments not available to the average citizen.
It was MedStar Georgetown Hospital in D.C. Mm-hmm. Dr. Beckett was the general doctor in charge. Dr. Kumar was the infectious disease doctor. And Dr. Langley was in charge of the
the dude from the CIA.
Emergency operation, which was substantial at the beginning.
Dr. Quantico was there just to check my taxes. Oh, thank you, Miranda. Hooray, Motang Monday. Yay, thanks for the Venmo.
Dr. Connolly, Dr. Sean Connolly, the White House physician, over.
Gus, I couldn't be happier to be here. I'm just sorry that I'm dead. Junior, the floor's on fire. And the chair. I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. And his enemies shall be, and his what is it? And his armaments shall be the beasts of the field and the birds in the air.
Oversaw it, kept in touch, made sure everything went right, and gave me a lot of good advice, and Maria and Andrew. Dr. Ryan, Maria Ryan, helped
They're holding a list up.
me a great deal in figuring it out, and now in readjusting. And my son Andrew stayed with me for 72 hours. He just stayed there, he lived with me.
And if you write him out of the will at this point, it'll probably be for his own good.
Took care of me, helped me in every way possible, including taking care of my health.
Every way possible.
But also, since he's quite a professional himself, he took over a lot of my work, and we almost didn't miss a beat.
Almost.
We stayed deeply involved in the Texas lawsuit. We
Oh, so that's why you lost. So you're blaming him now.
stayed deeply
Yeah, just blame your kid.
involved in all the legislatures having their hearings. I had a hearing this morning, for example. I was well prepared.
That's right, Nikki. That was a spirometer, and it's you blow as hard as you can, and it's like lifting weights with your lungs. Yeah, his son already had it.
For it. I was able to show up on time for it and do it. If it wasn't for Andrew, I wouldn't have another one tomorrow. I was able to do a radio show today, my podcast, and make a number of phone calls to kind of move the case along. And I feel like I haven't missed too much. I missed a little, but I haven't missed too much. And I've taken a
Well, we've seen the cases. You've missed a lot.
little bit of time
You missed a lot when you were involved.
off. But due to the health
Did the taxpayers pay for his treatment? He probably had insurance, but I don't know that he would be billed at all. So you're probably right. He probably ended up, because he's the president's lawyer, ended up getting a lot, like the dexamethasone, that's cheap. Remdesivir, he can afford out of pocket. That doesn't matter. The hospital stay probably was covered by his insurance. And I'm going to guess that the monoclonal antibody, the REGN-CoV-2, honest to God, he got for free because he's the president's lawyer.
help
They brought it over just like they brought it to the president, and they juiced him up with it.
of these wonderful people, I haven't been out of the ball game for too long. My advice about COVID-19.
That's great. Yes. My advice as a drunk driver who just ran over a kid and crashed into a playground to people who might be thinking about driving drunk in the future.
I was asked, well, would I change the way I approached it over the last whatever number of months, 8 months, 9 months? And the answer is no, I would not. I would not have.
Of course not. Because this is what gave you the access. Being an asshole and running around with no mask on and exposing yourself multiple times is the very reason why you got first dibs at a specialty treatment, because if you didn't do those things, Trump would have cast you aside and you'd be dead right now. Let's be abundantly clear. Rudy would have pulled a Herman Cain last week if it hadn't been for the fact that he got special treatments only reserved for the president. Seriously.
Changed it. I didn't. I quarantined in the sense that I stayed in a lot. I didn't go out to restaurants that I couldn't go to, and I didn't go.
You didn't go to restaurants that you couldn't go to? Oh, that's sweet.
Flying around.
Way to think ahead. I'm not, I do a lot of, I'm very cautious. I don't fly on planes that don't take off.
All over the place. But I also didn't lock myself in a basement and stay out of life for the last 8 months. If I did, I don't know what I would have done with myself.
You taped a bunch of these friggin' things and you turned your bottom teeth yellow smoking cigars, it would seem.
And I can see the damage that's been done to our country by people doing that and people encouraging that. And I think that...
you don't think the 300,000 dead is indicative of a broader number we would have had if we didn't do the lockdown, and the increasing number is directly related to the opening strategies that all these states are like, let's just get it open. We got to just do it. Screw it no matter what. And the number starts spiking. And you're like, you don't see an obvious correlation there because you're dumb?
If it was ever necessary, it no longer is necessary. A shutdown of this country is no longer necessary.
Yeah, and no one's proposing one, dipshit.
The shutdown now will do more damage.
They're doing strategic shutdowns based on cities and states, based on the numbers.
Than the COVID will do. The shutdown will do more damage than the COVID.
No.
We have treatment for Chinese virus. The treatments are getting better.
Yeah, especially if you can get them.
The fatality rate keeps dropping and dropping and
amongst your friends.
Dropping.
And raising amongst other people.
It's not a nice disease. You don't.
It isn't? There's so many nice diseases. One day I hope I can meet a nice disease and settle down.
You want to get it. But you don't want to get flu either. You don't want to get tuberculosis either.
Are these my options?
You don't want to get hit by a car.
Okay, especially when you've got tuberculosis and you're on your way to get a flu shot.
And you don't want to get hit by a brick.
Fucking bricks. Am I right? I mean, no, but you can't throw a brick that's too heavy.
And you don't.
You mean a can of soup?
Want to get cancer.
Yes, cancer of the brick. I've got soup cancer.
And you don't want to, and you don't want to, and you don't want to.
I don't want to, but you gotta.
But you don't stay in your house all day and shut down the American economy because of it.
If I stay in my house all day, how does that shut down the American economy? I am the American economy right now. I'm literally busting my ass to create content when everything else is shut down, just so people don't go mad during this time. And that is the whole purpose of this show. All other things aside, the entire purpose is, with all the real news going on, and you need to see it and you need to know what's going on, you don't need to have it delivered to you in this like, oh my God, the world is going to collapse on all of us. I really see no end in sight. We're all going to die. Like, you don't need that kind of energy. Life, humans before you have been through worse, and they have survived, and they have carried on, and they've done stuff. So we have some perspective. You got to be informed, but you don't have to be beat up by it. That's what I'm doing. That's why I'm here. That's why it's literally the inspiration to do this show every day. For Christ's sake, Rudy. I am the anti-Rudy. I am the anti-Rush Limbaugh. I am the anti-news in that regard. In that I'll let you know what's happening. And you need to know, by the way, for all the noise about the cases that Trump's floating all over the country, you'll hear that they're ridiculous and that they've been thrown out, and you'll hear minor elements of it. But where else has somebody actually gone through even their evidence? They're like, nobody goes through our shit. I have. You guys have watched me do it. It's been intolerable sometimes. 4 friggin' hours breaking down video evidence that they said. And no one, after me doing it on this little show, no one can tell any of you that you haven't looked at their evidence, or they won't even let us see it, or people won't even let you know. Bullshit. You've seen it. You've watched it. We talked through it. I listened to every fucking detail he presented in his stupid cases and was able to shoot it down every single time. It's not even difficult. That's why I can do it and be funny at the same time. Hello.
You go about your life.
I am going about my life, and it's fantastic. It's weird and it's sad, and I miss my kid and hugging my mom, and I miss watching my kid hug my mom, his grandmother. that kind of stuff. And Christmas is going to be kind of weird this year, but it'll also be kind of like that Christmas in college when you didn't go home, or when you got your first job and you're like, I can't afford to travel right now. I mean, I don't, maybe mom and dad could buy me a plane ticket and I could go back and see everybody, but I'm not ready to. Although, remember those days? Have one of those. It's one fucking Christmas. It's one Thanksgiving. Give it up so you can have the rest of them. Dumbasses.
With courage.
I have courage. I've had, 6 death threats in the last 2 weeks.
With a certain amount of risk.
Well, I mean, they're bots and they're probably from Russia. And, no, I'm totally guy from Indiana and I'm going to come over and punch you in the neck, mister, because I'm a red-blooded American. Yes. Yeah, right.
Every time you walk out your house, there's risk.
Is it? Jesus Christ, I gotta move.
Every time you get in a car, there's risk. Every
Well, if you get in the car with you.
time you get on an airplane, there's risk.
Well, yeah, I mean, flight is difficult. But there's varying points of it. If, for example, let's just work with me on this, Rudy. I'm just going to float a hypothetical for you. Let's say you've got a flight planned. And you know that, statistically speaking, flying is safer than driving, especially when you're going overseas, and unless you're a really good swimmer. And you're on your way to the airport, and you hear on the radio that the airline you're about to fly on, which is called Shopping in Public Going to Restaurants Airlines, they have so many planes crashing that they're losing 3,000 passengers a day. Yeah, on per capita airlines. When you fly per capita airlines has lost 3,000 planes a day for 6 months. Are you getting on the plane, Rudy?
Every time you do something new, there's risk.
Well, if it's fun. Every time you do something new, there's risk? What's the risk in, I don't know, I was at an old bookstore and I found a book on Italian. I was like, maybe I'll take it up. So I spent $1. I guess there's a risk. Now I've got $1 gone and a book I may not have room for on the shelf. There's risk in everything, every endeavor.
Part of the courage that an American has
is learning Italian from a book you got at a used bookstore. True.
is to take risk.
Oh, I see. Yes, take risks. Just blindfold yourself and jump the Snake River Canyon, riding only an paper airplane in a jockstrap.
In the effort to make this country bigger and greater and stronger and the greatest country on earth.
That's right. Which is why Rudy Giuliani has facial piercings. What?
Because
he takes risks.
we're the home of the free, right?
Yeah. Every time you try some new box hair dye, it's always going to be you can't just walk right up and pick a color right out of the Just for Men section. You gotta shop a little bit.
Right?
Yeah, I know. You can't just spray motor oil in, like you just go, shoe polish is black. I want my hair black. Shoe polish is right there. I could go to the store and get something. Try something new. Maybe I'll just take the shoe polish and on my head. There's risk in everything.
This would be a good time to take a break.
It would be a good time to take a bath.
I accomplished a lot in 2020.
Yeah, I got a disease. I turned orange. I started wearing a pinky ring because that's what pedophiles do. I showed my dick to a 15-year-old. She wasn't a real 15-year-old. Buy gold because nobody gives a shit anymore. Look at that. It's almost as if they're real coins. Hi. Oh. Wow. Flying. Boing. I got. Oh. Sorry. This is his best penguin impersonation. Yeah, boss. Free silver.
Some judgment about the way we're going to conduct ourselves. We don't have to all conduct ourselves in the same way.
Really? Well, thank you. I will do the rest of my show in interpretive dance. Interpret it how you want. We don't know. Thank you, Rudy, for setting me free.
And while I was in the hospital,
I should have stayed there
I did have time
to dirty up a couple of bedpans and ask ask a couple of nurses for a handy. That's why I got this dent in my head. Whoopang!
in addition to my usual duties,
Ew.
representing the president and some of my other legal work that I do.
Oh, what legal work? Did you do any of your illegal work?
I did have occasion to watch something that troubled me tremendously.
Yourself on camera farting and leaking motor oil? Was it a composite? Was it Now This doing videos of you just failing in public?
And that is what's going on with the restaurants in this country.
And now would be a good time to take a break. Yelp is bullshit. I only eat at places I can find on Angie's List. That's right. Basically the snack counter at Home Depot.
Particularly at the two ends of the country because it was emphasized the most. And that
The two ends of the country. I did not know our... from sea to shining sea. Gotcha.
that is in New York and in Washington.
I'm sorry. From sea to the other... Just the sea. The shining sea's on the other side. That's where the, like California has the shining sea. So from sea...
One in my hometown of New York and a place that's particularly dear to my heart,
Some pizza joint with a basement full of children? What?
Staten Island.
Oh, Staten Island's not in D.C. What is he talking about?
Max, I believe it's Max restaurant or sports bar or...
Yeah, it's my favorite place, whatever it's called. Anyways, yeah, that was my favorite place. You know my favorite place? Fly. It starts with an FL. Fly. Max Shittery, Max Eatery. Eatery, Shittery. Shittery or Eatery. It's one or the other. I don't know.
Whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever it is. My favorite place. Whatever. Max Donald's. That's what it is. Something like that. It's the place the president sends me to get fish delights and come back with extra napkins for his pants.
But
The inside, not the outside.
Max Sports Bar looks to be...
If it is indeed a sports bar or it's even called Max. Jury's out.
being persecuted
Oh, no.
by
Sports fans?
Mayor de Blasio.
Ah, Mayor de Blasio. Right. He's shutting down restaurants all across this nation.
Possibly Governor Cuomo, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Why be sure when you start the segment? I mean, it's only the anchor segment of your show.
It is on the Republican part. It's in the Republican part of Staten Island.
Oh, I don't know. Are we now putting big pieces of tape between places to go Republican and Democrat parts? Like it's a sitcom and we're a warring couple?
Democratic part of Staten Island. You can stay open. You can have your beers. You can have your socially distanced sandwiches. But there you're cut out. You can't.
Huh? Well, then what? How is it a Republican area? Why are the Republicans shutting? What?
Have it. You can't do it.
You can't do it. Can't do what?
They sent something like 21 deputies and hold them away like a criminal.
Okay. God damn it. What is he talking about? Give me 1 second. Max, if this is indeed the name. Max's Sports Bar arrests COVID. Shit, I don't even know. COVID. Defiant New York bar owner struck deputy with... Oh, yeah, right. Oh, you mean these poor sweet people who are being held to the same standard as everyone else, and yet, somehow, the owner managed to run over a cop with his car. Hashtag law and order. Law and order, all caps. Why did I was trying to impersonate Trump's tweets, and I turned into Jerry Seinfeld. I don't know. Why would you run over a deputy? If you didn't run over the sheriff, Well, I guess that's how the song goes. I ran over the sheriff, but I did not run over the deputy. Max is what it's called, not Max as in M-A-X. Max Public House is the name of the place. Co-owner Danny Presti is taken away in handcuffs after being arrested by New York City Sheriff's deputies December 1st in the Staten Island borough of New York. That's what he's talking about. The co-owner of a New York City bar that authorities said has been defying coronavirus restrictions was taken into custody early today after running over a deputy with a car. You know, for freedom.
I wanted to show how valuable America was to me, so I ran over a police officer in the name of law and order.
Danny Presti tried to drive away from his bar, Max Public House, as deputies were arresting him for serving patrons in violation of the city and state closure orders. Deputies attempted to arrest Presti as he left the bar early today, but Presti got into his car, struck a deputy, and kept driving for about 100 yards, even as the deputy was left hanging onto the hood. Presti, 34, was eventually stopped and apprehended. Charges against him were pending. Mark Fonte, an attorney for Presti, said he had not yet had an opportunity to speak to his client, but they were hoping to, go for a ride later. Fonte said he expected Presti to be arraigned later Sunday, if he makes it. The injured deputy was taken to the hospital for treatment of injuries. The deputy's condition wasn't immediately available. Law and order. But it's the left, right? This Antifa bar violence has got to stop, people. Yeah, he struck him with his car. The deputy was on the hood of the car, and he kept driving with him on the hood of the car for a good while. And when he stopped, he fell off, I guess, and he suffered injuries. We'll see. In both of these instances, whether it's flouting public health laws or ramming a car into a uniformed deputy, this individual has endangered the lives of others. Authorities said the bar was still serving patrons Saturday night, even though it was ordered to close entirely after Presti's earlier arrest. Deputies surveilling the pub saw that the front door to the bar was locked, but customers were being directed to a building next door. From there, they were able to enter Max Public House through a back door and order food and beverages. It's like they're trying to make a speakeasy. And what advertising, too. Yeah. So, Rudy feels bad for this guy. Tell us the story, Rudy. Tell us what happened. Every other restaurant in this area has to shut down, but this dude wouldn't. And he gets busted. They make him stop. So he starts serving people through a side door and hiding. And then, so tell us why you hated this. Oh, terrible what happened.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. This asshole was told to shut down because he was starting little super spreader events, and they were having real problems in this particular area. It was spiking the numbers in New York up, and they could trace it to these large gatherings because they're not tracking and tracing who's got what and where. And they shut him down. They arrested him, and he reopened his bar through the side, and they came over to serve a warrant. He got in his car and drove over a cop, which under any normal circumstance, I'm under the impression that Republicans would actually give a shit. Because you're no longer a martyr once you run over the cop. If they bust you in these situations, and thank you for the new subs, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you for joining. And thanks for the hype train. On Twitch, twitch.tv/HalSparks. Jump on over there. Help us out. Amazon Prime, you can become a subscriber, and it doesn't even cost you anything. All right. I try to remember to do these things, and I never... So, normally, I think some of us are under the impression, are we not, that the president has supposedly been in support of law and order, and he's pro-cop, and all the cops came out in support of Trump this time around, and Biden couldn't even name a guy after him. And here is his attorney supporting a bar that was closed by the police because of an ordinance that everybody else has to follow. They flouted it. And when they got busted, instead of going, you know what, this is about freedom, kneeling down, going to court, fighting it off, knowing that in a couple months, even if they went to jail for 90 days, getting out and going back to work at the bar, they'd have a shit ton of people show up at this bar. And they may still, to prove that they want to support this guy for being a martyr in this process. But now, he's not the dude who defied the order and then got arrested and took it on the chin for the neighborhood and was showing everybody. No, he's the asshole who tried to run down a cop. Yeah, Blue Lives Matter my ass.
Then we go to the other side of the country in Los Angeles.
What happens in Los Angeles?
And we have a woman who runs what looks like a very lovely restaurant. Looks like it's socially distant, socially spaced, outdoors. She's shut down. The one across the street is open because it's owned by NBC.
You mean a commissary inside a building where employees are working versus a public restaurant?
Owned by NBC.
Okay. LA restaurant shut down. NBC restaurant. Whoops. Stays open. What? I don't want NYC. I want NBC. I don't want NYC. LA restaurant shut down.
I don't know what this is. I don't know what they're talking about.
At least, is it Max 2? Do we have another name for it? Does anybody know the name of this friggin' thing?
I can't. I don't.
Yeah. I'm going to guess that NBC's place is following the protocol and being proper, and she wasn't.
Seems like she's socially distanced. Maybe, perhaps.
Let's see. Shut down. Let's see. Owned a shut down restaurant in California. Some film studio opened an outdoor eating area right next to her space. Because they were because the crew was eating. Jesus Christ. I mean, yes, we spoke of the folks that said F Antifa on their backsides, and I am of the opinion that somewhere Ben Shapiro is sniffing his new souvenir magic marker. Guys, this is so good. You gotta understand that if we're gonna have these, everybody on the Ritalin? Okay, good.
So why is it owned by NBC and allowed to operate? Because NBC is part of the protected class.
I see. Says the guy who just got the monoclonal antibody treatment not available to the public because he's friends with the president. Fuck you.
NBC protects the protected class. NBC is part of the group that has imposed a censorship on any bad news about Joe Biden or Hunter Biden.
You mean any disinfo about either of them?
NBC is part of the censorship that way back.
Yeah, way back. I mean, honestly, McCarthy was right. I think that's basically what we're getting to.
Imposed a censorship on all the shenanigans and all the crimes that Biden was doing in Ukraine. They imposed censorship on Hillary Clinton, and they imposed torture on Donald Trump.
Torture. They imposed torture on Donald Trump.
For phony impeachments.
For phony impeachment. He was actually impeached.
And now they're imposing censorship on discussing fraud. So Democrats are going to give him a nice break. Right? Like Gavin Newsom.
Like
the mayor and like the mayor of Los Angeles.
Sorry, 55 Chevy Nomad. I can't see the thing. You have to kind of space out the link or put a couple of, I don't know.
I mean, it's outrageous. They're allowed to be open, and this woman, she's probably a Democrat too, but she's one that doesn't count.
Yeah, that's really, we're just turning on each other.
I mean, what the Democrat governors in this country are doing.
You mean lowering their death count while the red states are just letting their citizens die willy-nilly?
Small business is an outrage.
Why? Because they want those people to be alive in 4 months when they can reopen again?
It's an outrage. I don't know what it is. I once opined on this, and I spent time reading about it, and I've become even more convinced of it.
Oh, boy. Flat Earth? Aliens. Gout is actually a symbiotic alien that makes you better at drinking gin in... I'm sorry.
I think as liberals dwarf into socialists.
As liberals dwarf into socialists. I think he means morph.
I think as liberals dwarf into
Dwarf.
socialists.
Sorry. As liberals wharf into socialists, meaning, of course, the Klingon security officer in Star Trek Next Generation.
And as their socialism becomes stronger and stronger, and they get the chance to take over more and more of your life, to take away some of your free speech.
Yeah, that's what socialism's all about, right?
So now you have to subscribe to politically correct speech.
You mean like not saying CCP virus, saying COVID-19 or those kind of things, which you were just able to say and you're not losing your job about it. People would just think you're an asshole.
And then they
what?
kind of erode your freedom of religion.
Is that they do that by making sure you survive to be religious, let's say Easter, instead of saying in the middle of a pandemic, I think we'll have the churches open by Easter, which is what somebody who'd want to kill a bunch of Christians would say.
Which we let them take a little too easily.
Did you? Maybe you're not. Maybe they just don't have any faith. Maybe that's the problem. Are you really? Do you even Bible, bro?
And not letting us go to church.
Then not letting us go to church.
And they start to put some restrictions on your ability to travel and your ability to have business. I think they all of a sudden start to feel very powerful.
It's a pandemic, dumb fuck. None of this applies outside an actual disease.
And they start to feel what they
which would have killed you if you weren't the president's buddy.
Always have felt, which is superior to you. And
yeah, now it's like, I'm glad he's making evidentiary. This is common sense. I mean, really, he's earning the title of the show right now. It's common sense. Obviously, as they eke away more of your religion by not letting you gather in groups of 50 or more inside a building with bad ventilation. All right.
Then they start to tell you what to do.
Okay. Then they start to tell you what to do? You mean like Texas telling Georgia how to conduct their elections? You mean grouping up with other states, trying to establish minority rule like that? Oh, like minorities attacking? What a horrible thing. I mean, that's one of the most frightening things for you of all, isn't it? Minorities trying to take over. And yet...
And then when you object...
To what?
You really offend them. You really get them upset.
Object to what? Object to what? Nobody... If you're like, I want to go to church. Nobody has a problem with that. The point is, you might die or kill someone if you do. You may be asymptomatic. There's no tracking and tracing. The president could have solved all this by establishing a tracking and tracing system in the very beginning of this. He could have. Churches specifically, because you've got a congregation. You have a regular gathering of people. You can and they're in close contact, just like schools. Churches, like pastors, ministers, that deacons, groups could be set up, phone trees. Most, like our little Christian church had a phone tree for any of the kids that went randomly out into the woods, which happened with a decent amount of frequency in Kentucky when I was growing up. You had a phone tree to make sure where the kids are, what time people are meeting, all that kind of stuff. You could have set that up. If the president actually gave a shit and wasn't just, setting up a situation where he gets hold a Bible upside down in front of a church you would never set foot in normally, he could have solved that. You could have had a strategy where you go, the pastors go, look, churches can gather because they have a direct relation. Your regular parishioners, the people who regularly go to your church, and you need to do some social distancing. You need to keep them inside. And you need to set the older folks kind of separate from people. If anybody has any illness or sick with anything at all, you got to ask them not to come. And you got to make sure that they're in contact. Make even more connection. But because the president couldn't be bothered with track and trace, at least 15 cases, probably going to go to nothing. I mean, honestly, he's like one old lady, and she's probably going to be fine, even though it was a guy and he died.
I mean, insecure people exercising power can become very dictatorial.
Uh-oh. Trump, shots fired. He's talking shit about you, Trump.
And a lot of these left-wingers are very insecure people because they have no grounding. They have no grounding in belief in God. They have no grounding in a true understanding of the Constitution.
Explain to me your belief in God's plan, God's law, and God's idea of how you should behave in the world. Because they say that shit a lot. And I, as a spiritual being with a belief in a higher power, and the specifics of my my religious beliefs are not really anybody's business, but just to clarify on some obvious points, I do not belong to a particular church, although I am comfortable in many, and I do not worship Satan or any of the dark angels. Just to clarify. Everything else, anything in between that, it's none of your goddamn business, I think, in general. But the anchor of one's Christian faith would largely be turn the other cheek, the meek shall inherit the earth. As you do unto the least of these, you do unto me. Give unto Caesar what is Caesar's. And if you go back into the Old Testament, I mean, it's really just a buffet of which ones you're going to believe. Because if you're anti-gay, you have to be anti-shrimp and anti-polyester. And I'm going to guess he's not.
They have no grounding in true, solid principles that make sense.
Oh, yeah? What are your principles that make sense? Because on a constitutional level, all of your cases have been thrown out. Yes, there's... I will give you a hint of what my religious beliefs are. This is true. Although I don't think this will show up in here. Because it's green. That's the difficult thing with my green lightsaber. Stop it. It's a light. I don't have any room in here. Ow! There we go. My light's fine. I hit the little dangle on my fan, and I'm fine. We'll do some more stuff later. Hey, Sailor, got any shrimp?
That's why left-wingers and liberals and socialists make such terrible executives.
Yeah, totally. I mean, just look at all the... Look at Apple. I mean, it's technically the first $1 trillion company, but and yeah, they have a vegan menu at their campus thing, and Google, terribly run, obviously never really amount to anything.
You look at the cities they run; they're a disaster.
Oh yeah, because on paper, they produce more money for the country than all the other cities combined.
They're too theoretical. They're too
think of it.
Esoteric. They're too
theoretical and esoteric.
Theoretical. They're too esoteric.
He means witches. They're witches. Burn them! But what do you burn apart from witches? More witches!
They're too silly.
That seems to be the problem, sir. Right there. You've cut me to the quick. I got backed into a corner. You've all seen it happen. It had to happen even to someone as great as I. After all this time, Rudy managed to catch me off guard and drive me into a corner. Indeed, he has caught me. You have cut me to the quick, sir. I am indeed fucking silly. But interestingly enough, I'm silly for a living. That's right. I've taken something and turned it into an industry. And I've done quite well. I literally make a living doing things I got kicked out of class for. Do you make a living for things you've been kicked out of court for? I think not. Actually, I think he does. Actually, he sells cigar ads and all that kind of stuff on this show. And what he says on this show is actually, but anyways, silly is as silly does. I've been called out. I am indeed silly. Silly. Stop this. Stop this. This is all gone on far too. This is too silly. I'm the highest ranking officer here, and I haven't had a funny line yet. This is very silly. 4, 3, 2, 1, and all that.
Esoteric. They're too silly. Their ideas are silly.
Their ideas are silly. They're silly ideas. I mean, it's silly. Can you imagine creating? You have public schools, which are silly. You have public libraries, silly. You make people get a driver's license so that you know, at least in general while you're driving, that the other people are licensed and therefore have a baseline level of skills and know to stay on their side of the yellow line and what a stop sign means. All that shit, silly. Firemen, silly. Police, silly. Silly ideas.
Everybody can have health care. Nobody has to pay for it.
You just got health care that the taxpayers paid for. Or you got it free. Nobody had to pay for it. And the Decadron, which is dexamethasone, you only know that helped you, and the president loves it because the Brits, who have a public, a national health service, figured it out because of that. CDC, public health. NIH, public health.
Money come from the sky? Yeah, money will come from the sky.
What the hell?
Money come from the sky? Yeah, money will come from the sky.
All right. I've got to admit, that idea does sound a little silly. I mean, nobody else has it but him, but...
Everybody can have free education. Nobody has to pay for it. Teachers are going to work for nothing.
Teachers don't work for nothing. The state pays a good portion of them. You use tax dollars to pay them. You hire them because an educated populace makes your entire country better. It's an investment. What? You're just going to have an army? You're just going to have nuclear weapons? And nobody's going to pay for it? Okay. Soldiers just going to work for free? Yeah? Generals just going to work. The whole Department of Defense, the Pentagon's going to work for free. The Congress, you're just going to have that, right? Everybody gets a congressperson. Every district gets a congressperson. Every state gets 2 senators, even when they have. Let's actually.
Right?
No one thinks that. You're a dipshit.
Huh?
Huh?
Going to work for nothing.
Huh?
Right?
Huh?
Huh? That's going to happen. This is
Spit it out.
what they think. This is what
Who's they? Nobody thinks that.
the Bernie Sanders think.
Oh, Bernie Sanders. I didn't realize you were talking about it. Yeah, he does think that. No, he doesn't. He thinks it's where you should direct tax dollars. Oh, boy.
Sees. So, and this is really what the de Blasios and the Cuomos and the...
Yeah, because they're communists. De Blasio's... So Cuomo's a communist. Mm-hmm.
And the Gavin Newsoms and...
Ah, yes, well, clearly.
They don't run businesses. They don't have to meet a payroll. They don't realize you got to work hard, and then you make the money, and then you invest the money, and then you grow.
Really? Is that how the military did so well?
And then you have money.
Oh, I see. Then you pay the general. You pay the soldiers after you've killed everybody. Huh?
You don't just get the money and people just give it to you for nothing.
No, they give it to you because the choice between having an uneducated populace or a populace that's sick all the time, that's spreading that illness, or collapsing economies because of bankruptcies being, the largest numbers of bankruptcies being caused by people who are caught off guard by a disease that is not their doing. Would be the actual thinking through of said thing. See, you want us to pay $2.5 trillion over the next 10 years to protect ourselves from a bullet from a terrorist that isn't coming. But if you want to spend half that on protecting people from diseases that are definitely on everybody's dance card, That's socialism? No. It's democratic taxation, fucko.
So that's why these deteriorate, and that's why we have the disaster called California.
California's not a disaster because
And the disaster called New York. And if this election doesn't work out right, the disaster called the United States.
That's right. That's right. Like, we're all going to become California and New York with all that broadband and production. If we're not careful, the rest of America will also be in the top 10. The other states will also be in the top 10 economies in the world. What? Then it'd be the top 50. And how would that be?
I mean, the proposals are unrealistic, they're childish, they're immature, and they are supported by
What are their proposals?
an equally warped, really poorly educated press.
That's the problem. They just never went to school. They don't have good schooling.
You say, oh, they
They probably learned from teachers that work for free. Homeschooled.
have their Ivy League educations.
Ah, I see, the Ivy League. That's the problem. Ivy League just raises dummies. Where'd you go to school? Oh, right, an Ivy League school.
They don't know the darndest thing about life.
You know, they just live in their towers. Oh, how easy it would be to be a trans activist or, you know, a gay congressman trying to run against a guy who doesn't think they have the right to get married. I mean, it would be so easy if it weren't for that. Oh, to be a woman trying to get...
They don't know the darndest thing about life. They don't know
This is his new children's book. Dems don't know the darndest thing.
nothing about a real economy. They don't know how to make money in a business. Look
Look how the economy does under Democrats, right?
how their newspapers are failing. They're
Their newspapers are failing.
subsidized, basically. They don't have to make a payroll. They write articles and, complain about each other, pick on each other about the articles.
What?
There's no real competition.
Well, then what? Well, then why are they picking on each other about the articles?
Real competition for making money or producing a product. And then they keep repeating the same thing to each other. And if, God forbid, one of them should say something that's politically incorrect, as we've seen, the New York Times will ostracize them and destroy them and try to make sure they never get a job for the rest of their lives. So,
Oh, you mean Jeffrey Toobin? Well, obviously you're coming to the... I don't know what the fuck he's talking about. I do not know. I'm trying to make something of this, but this is just bullshit. This is what it's boiled down to. COVID brain is real. By the way, this is part of his advice on COVID. This is like a man going, I never thought I'd hit myself in the head with a hammer. But if you ever find yourself in a situation where you've got a head and you've got a hammer and you're thinking of connecting the two, I have some advice for you. One, after the first two strikes, you really don't feel it. And secondly, blah, 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 blah. But if you wear a hat, no one will see it.
we've got a lot to deal with.
Don't we? Yeah, we got a lot to deal with. What the fuck are you on about with newspapers fighting each other over political correctness? What?
This has been a very, very strange year, the year of the attack by China.
Oh, okay. There we go. Straight up. We were attacked by China. According to the president's lawyer, we were attacked by China. This is the year of the... And look how earnest his eyes are. Okay. Attacked by China. Say that again.
This has been a very, very strange year, the year of the attack by China.
The year of the attack by China. CCP virus, he's been calling it the whole time. It's an attack by China. He's been talking to Sidney Powell and Ellen Wood, and he's been talking to the OAN and the Epoch Times folks, and he's convinced now that this is not an accident. They didn't allow a disease to sneak into our country, and they didn't take proper precautions. No, it was an attack by China. Bioweapon attack that killed 300,000 Americans. We, after 3,000 were killed, fewer than 3,000 were killed on 9/11, went to war in Afghanistan and Iraq for 20 years. He is now making the case that China attacked us, killed 300,000, and his boss, the president of the United States, sold them corn and soybeans. If only George Bush had reacted to 9/11 the same way. The world hears you, America hears you, and the people who did this are going to get a lot of corn. Get on it, Iowa, before they bomb us again. You could have just bought Afghanistan, you could have just bought the goddamn corn instead of bombing us. Now we have to give them all the free corn. Was that one of their demands?
And let's not forget that.
Okay, let's, again, kind of important. Listen to this.
Deal with. This has been a very, very strange year, the year of the attack by China with the plague. And let's not forget that.
Yep, okay, there you go. President's lawyer, attacked by China. Let's not forget that the president just sold them all of our beef, corn, and soybeans. Yeah.
Because I'll tell you, as I remember this illness and I remember this disease,
I'm not quite sure. You couldn't remember the restaurants that you were complaining about in segment 3. Shit, I don't even know.
I'll remember to remind people to be cautious.
Mm-hmm.
I'll remember to remind people to be careful about washing their hands and staying away from obvious risk and wearing a mask where necessary, but not excessively.
This is like a COVID hostage video.
But I'll also be very, very willing to warn people not to overdo it.
Yeah, don't overdo it.
And not to let fear overtake the great, great courage of the American people.
No, don't do it. Don't let fear overtake it. Go out there. Take unnecessary risks. Gather in crowds. I mean, what's one beer going to hurt?
Not let fear of anything, of any disease,
No.
particularly one thrusted on us by China, to stop us from growing and growing as Americans.
Yeah, don't let AIDS stop you from indulging in your fetish of paper cuts and raw dogging.
And from doing what we have to do and what we want to do and what's necessary for us to do.
What is necessary for us to do? Go have a beer at Max?
And I'll also be very wary of the fact that this whole excessive panic and hysteria caused over this has really eroded many of our sacred rights.
Our sacred rights are gone.
I don't know how I can handle all of this. Oh, Lord. My sacred rights have been taken away from me.
Have to be fought back. We have to fight back for them and reestablish them.
And how's that? By going to church, getting all the elderly people there sick, and having them die, wiping out a generation of older folks at church because you couldn't wait? Because your faith won't last a year. I mean, and that's really what we're talking about. When Rudy Giuliani especially, and Trump himself, who doesn't give a shit about religion, it's just a tool for him to control people, but when Rudy talks about religion like this, and when the Trump family talks about it this way, all these posers, what they're really saying to you is their faith, their belief in God, their religious activity wouldn't last a year. If they stopped going regularly, they'd never go back because they really don't buy it. They really don't care. It's a social gathering. It's a place to go compare hats. It has nothing to do with a belief in God or a place to reflect on our failures and our growth as a human being. It's embarrassing. Oh, what'd you do? Did you freeze? We got a spinning beach ball of death. There he is.
We went too quickly like sheep to the slaughter.
To the slaughter? Dude, you're in an $800 a night hotel suite. Sheep to the slaughter? That's the definition of going to church during a pandemic when you can worship online and connect to people and be alive to see them next year.
You know, we gave up Palm Sunday and the High Holy Days and Easter Sunday.
Didn't give it up. The president was suggesting by then we'll be able to go back. But people were dying at a clip that was unforeseen like a year ago and was horrible. And now we're higher than that, you dipshit.
Do we? We gave up some of our right to speak out and say maybe this seems too excessive.
Oh, so NBC had tents and tables for a film crew and were feeding them next to a lady's business and she had to close. That's what it was in LA. Oh, well, those people are all tested members of it's not open to the public. You can't go up there and buy food at that thing.
Maybe this seems too excessive to us because we'd be yelled down as stupid and mean. And
no, I don't think you're mean. I think you're stupid. I just think you're just stupid. I don't think you're smart enough to be mean.
Ignorant.
Yeah, that's true. Well, no, not ignorant. No. Ignorant means you don't know. Stupid means you know, but you do it anyways. You're stupid, Rudy. You're a stupid man. I mean, you're ignorant about what a USB port is, but...
A little too much censorship. A little too much.
How much? How much is it? Yeah. What's the sweet spot on censorship, Rudy?
We let a little too much censorship. A little too much. We let complete censorship come into our presidential election when we kept out the story about the hard drive of Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. And
Joe Biden didn't have a hard drive. You had Hunter Biden's hard drive for a year. The FBI had it. They didn't find anything on it. It took you a year to look at half of it. You discovered what you believed to be child porn on it. You delivered it to the Delaware Police Department because you just couldn't not. They didn't find anything. None of it has gone forward in that regard. But you kept the hard drive, a copy of it that you sleep with, that has what you believe to be child porn on it. So you obviously have a way with the laptop itself. So you gave him a copy of the hard drive, but you kept the laptop so you could look at the Jesus Christ.
Crimes that are now going to come out and going to haunt us for years.
No. You mean like Benghazi?
Because
you're going to Benghazi us?
Weren't exposed originally, and I assure you they're there.
Mm-hmm. I assure you, yeah.
And they're big, and they're substantial, and they're frightening in terms of the implications to the national security of the United States.
What national security to the United States? Russia just hacked the Treasury, the DOD, and the Department of Homeland Security after Trump fired the cybercom director.
And then we've done everything we can to refuse to allow the American people to take a good look at the way in which they were cheated. You know, no matter what the...
That was a weird edit.
To take a good look at the way in which they were cheated. You know, no matter what the outcome of this election, which is still in doubt.
No, it isn't.
Years from now.
Years from now.
20.
Lying in our beds.
30, 40, 50.
30, 40, 50 years from now. Run, and you will.
More than that, years from now.
This is his Braveheart moment.
That film in Atlanta, live from Atlanta, showing the theft of the election.
You mean the bullshit video that you selectively cut down to make it look like people who were tabulating were adding votes when they were not? Oh, believe me, when they show that video in the future, they'll show a copy of this with it and go, this dumb fuck actually thought people were going to buy that.
By enough votes to change the election, 30, 40, 50,000 votes right
Nope.
in front of your eyes?
No.
You see the election being stolen by crooked Democratic operatives?
PayPal for SLVT this weekend yet? No, Cosmic Rose. They aren't doing that for some reason. It's very strange. I don't get it.
Right there. Looks like a exchange of drugs that are going on. No,
It looks like an exchange of drugs that are going on. Why would that analogy come to mind? It looks like, looks like to me people are doing office work immediately. You know what I mean? Like if you really think about it, it looks like people are just filing, like TPS reports or something like that in office space. But to Rudy, it looks like a drug deal. Does that have anything to do with the fact that it's 5 black people? Could that be it, Rudy? Did you want to stop and frisk all 5 of them? Is that what's upsetting you? Are you just like your boss? You can't think about black people without immediately thinking criminal endeavors, drug dealing, violence. You can't even make your brain function beyond that immediate stereotype.
Stuffing of the ballot box that's going on.
Nobody stuffed a ballot box.
Democrat style, except this time on tape.
Yeah, it's not on tape. I've seen the tape. That's not what's on tape.
That's going to live with this election.
Yeah, and people will laugh at it for years to come. And they'll go, this guy used to be a respected mayor, and he lost his fucking mind, and nobody took him seriously, and he got laughed out of court 50 times. The Supreme Court that the president put almost half of the people on, like literally a third of the people on the court were because of him, and he still couldn't even get a hearing about it because they read it and knew it was bullshit.
It's going to be attached to this election. It's going to be the 2020 election, and there's going to be the Atlanta stolen election tape.
Yeah, and it's not going to be called that in the future. It's going to be called the Atlanta tabulation video.
Like the Kennedy assassination and the Zapruder film.
Yeah, that's how. So these two things are going to be associated with each other.
They're together.
And they fall in love and fight crime, heart to heart. And I'm Max, and I take care of them.
Raising questions for posterity. This election, unless we straighten it out,
it's already straight. You're trying to make it crooked.
is going to be tainted forever, more than any other American election.
And if anybody knows about taint
in history,
it's Rudy Giuliani.
Unless we, as a generation and as a group of Americans, have the courage to overcome the propaganda and the fear and the intimidation we're being put through
Get him
and
to stand
fight
up.
for
Do
what's
it.
right.
Get him up there.
Well,
Make
that's
him
what
stand up, Rudy. Get this generation, your generation, the 76-year-old former mayors of this country who get special treatment that other Americans don't get. You are our last hope.
I'm going to continue to do it. I'm glad I'm back.
Well.
And I'm glad that I live in an America that is run by a president who was able to deal with this completely unknown illness a year ago and have us in a situation where now it is largely curable, not completely, no illness is completely, may eventually be largely curable.
Yeah, there's a lot of diseases that are completely curable.
On its way to a vaccine in warped speed.
Warped speed. Really?
Democrats. No, it's a stuffing of the ballot box that's going on. Right there. Looks like a exchange of drugs that are going on.
Okay, back forward.
Democrat style, except this time on tape. The 2020 election, and there's going to be the Atlanta. They're together. Raising questions for posterity. Tainted forever, more than any other American election. Americans have the courage to overcome the propaganda and the fear. I'm going to continue to do it. I'm glad I'm back.
Sorry,
and I'm glad
jump back.
that I live in America. Unknown illness a year ago, and have
this is the part.
us in a situation where now it is largely curable, not completely, no illness is completely, may eventually be largely curable, on its way to a vaccine in warped speed.
Jesus Christ. Warped speed.
For that, he will be always considered a great president. For that, under any other president, we'd be 2-3 years behind, and you know that.
No, we wouldn't. The only reason other presidents wouldn't be this far along is because technology grows forward in time.
For that, he will be always considered a great president.
Why? The Obama administration came up with an H1N1, using your standard, an H1N1 vaccine within 6 months. Faster. Took a year and a half almost.
And this country is a great country because it's one of the few countries that could accomplish it. It's the only country that can accomplish it.
The first doses came from Belgium. The first person to get the vaccine was inoculated in England.
Thank God we're Americans. Thank God we have the right to be in this country. And
as Americans, it's so good to have the right to be an American when you're an American. Phew, lucky us. We were born in the country that we'd want to be in.
Let's make sure we have the courage to fight for it.
That's right.
Let's not be intimidated.
That's right.
Let's not let them frighten us
No,
or worry us
don't.
We
Never.
know we're right.
No,
we know
right.
what we're fighting
You
for.
know what you're fighting for.
We're fighting
Tell
for
'em.
freedom of speech,
Yes.
freedom of religion,
What?
and free and fair elections.
When did you start that bullshit? You've been trying to undermine the election from the start.
That's what America's about.
Oh,
and
that is what's America.
nobody's going to
Nobody.
intimidate it or
Not.
take us away from it.
Absolutely not.
Thank you, and we'll be back with another episode very shortly.
Why? Now's a good time to take a break. Jesus Christ. And I that's just. We didn't even get to Sidney Powell today. And then the entirety of the election hearing, good God. I mean, I could do a live stream all day on this, just the Arizona stuff. And by the way, this whole thing, let's see if I can find one little piece. So this is their expert, and they're interviewing the people from Dominion. That's the dude from Dominion. And I think let me see if I can get...
Program a specific election on using that...
Okay, so they asked this dude, this is what I'm going to leave you on, just because you like... So they asked this guy from Dominion how the software for the election is written. And they go, well, the underlying software is used for the machines themselves. It's the code how the machine runs. It decides, input comes from one place, output goes someplace else, but it doesn't decide what that is. You write an overlying thing with the consent of the state house, and people design that with the firm and the state, depending on how they want to arrange the ballot, what they want it to look like, and it's proprietary to that election. And once it's done, that you have to do it again for the next election. It looks totally different because each one is Scantron encoded, and there's code beneath just the visual UI that you use. And so this guy goes, we write the underlying code, which is just the ins and out of it. It's like the doors, the exits on a building. You get a building, there's a door in the back, there's a door in the front, there's a restroom over here, and there's a door to the basement over here. That's not going to change. But inside, you can build it to suit. You can turn it into a restaurant. You can turn it into a classroom. You can turn it into a warehouse. Up to you. But it won't change where the doors are. The doors are going to stay where they are. This is the structure of the building. This is how it's designed. And no matter what you do, you can snake something, make it look like the door goes left when it goes right. But ultimately, it's always going to go out the same way. So they work with the client, which is the state, to determine how the actual software that determines the election works. That's how Dominion works, that's how ES&S allegedly works, although I think they're sketchier, and that's the question we have to jump in there. And hi, Benny Loco, are you with us? Did I just see her name pop up? Is she all right? Are you okay? Is everybody okay? Are you okay? Hi, Benny Loco, are you okay? Let's listen to what he says.
Software, any alteration or change to the software or that election program itself would then render those ballots that we've created not readable.
Okay, so what they do is so you got the room analogy where it's got the exits and the entrances. That's the machine and the software itself, the hardware and the software of the machine itself. Then the election itself is how you've built the thing to suit it, okay? Then you go, we're building you a country and western bar, because that's what Georgia wants in this thing. This is what they're asking for. They're asking for a C&W bar. The clientele is the ballot. That's who comes in. Well, if a bunch of like Italian gangsters or the Blues Brothers show up, or a bunch of hip hop fans show up, the space itself will reject. They will not fit the country and western motif we have created inside the building. They will reject. They will not have the good time they were expecting to have, because based on the client's needs, we built this for a different human ballot, effectively. And if they come in here, they're going to go, the music here sucks and I don't like line dancing, and they're going to go home, right? That's the ballot. Okay.
Okay.
It's a good analogy. It's pretty solid.
That I'm not a programmer, but
I'd like to talk out of my ass for just 1 second and say that I bet you could do something awful if you wanted to.
I have a hard time believing that the people who are writing the underlying source code could not incorporate the code that has been written in for a specific election, which is layered over the source code.
That's because you're dumb. I cannot believe that the people who laid the cement foundation in this building and put the plumbing in have not tuned it to enjoy hip-hop music and therefore would ruin our country and Western shindig.
My concern here, Mr. Jarrett, is not
Is
that
based on a 1990s Sandra Bullock hacking movie called, where all the main characters go, "We're in," at some point.
there was malfeasance. I don't know.
There wasn't.
But I do have a concern.
But I do want to create the illusion that I'm worried about something. So, and by the way, no one's meeting in person. This is all virtual. This man is sitting in a corner, and he seems very like he's sitting on the floor. The wall behind him is very high. He seems to be, unless he's very short, I'm going to go with I'm going to need an affidavit that proves and photos that he is sitting in this hotel room of his own free will, that he is not sitting on the floor. He has pants on. He isn't masturbating. There isn't a hooker in the room. There isn't blow all over the place. And there's not a gun just off camera making him ask this way. Now, I know there probably isn't, and I'm no expert on what hotel that is. I couldn't tell you. I don't know from hotels in the general area around Arizona. But I can say that there's been a lot of questions in the last couple of seconds, mainly from me, about who this man is and whether or not he has a proof of life newspaper or if he's just someone wearing a early 2000s Glenn Beck costume.
Concerned that the county is taking the position that it just can't happen.
Yeah, because it can't.
I mean, there is a litany of white collar crimes, digital crimes in the history of this country and in this world.
That none of them involved rewriting the circuit boards of the computers that run Wall Street. Honestly, this dude's objection seems largely based on Richard Pryor's character in Superman 4.
From some very sophisticated people, and
or was it 3?
The victims didn't recognize it until some future time. So again, I'm not making any allegations.
Yes, you are.
But I think it's really, really dangerous for us to say it can't happen.
It can't happen. You're welcome.
I think we need to be open to the fact that it can. And I'm not.
And I want to use that open to the idea that it can, even though it didn't, and I don't think it did, and we don't really think it did, but we can't know. Thank you. It was 3. You're right. Thank you, Thorsman. But just because it can happen doesn't mean I can't let my people think it can happen, and therefore keep, making them fear the election.
I'm not just talking about this election. I'm talking about future elections.
Well, Rudy's only talking about this one.
That's from a personal perspective. I just think that's a dangerous position to take.
From a personal position, the computer you are operating on converts your voice into ones and zeros and reconverts them on the other end. How do I know you're not a deep fake? How do I know you're not a Russian deep fake? And if anybody can't tell me in that county board that can't happen, that during a pivotal Arizona gathering of their state legislature that could determine the outcome of the presidential election in the United States, the most powerful country in the world, and that we have many adversaries attacking our elections at their root, how am I supposed to know you aren't a deep fake? Just because it hasn't happened, and it's probably not going to happen, and sure, the people go, well, like, deep fake technology takes a little time to do it and work on it, but...
To that point, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Gray, to that point.
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Address that point, shall you?
That's one of the reasons I brought up the concern about these minor changes in the software program, because they do know their software, and obviously they're selling their product.
Obviously,
but they know their software, and when you can go in and you can tinker with something, there's a possibility. And as a chair,
when you can tinker with something, there's a possibility. Like I could tinker with that guy's, sprinklers while he's on right now. How do we know, like, somebody, like, if he gets swatted right now during this thing, how do I know he wasn't really a criminal the whole time?
Chairman said, I'm not saying that that's what happened.
I just want you to think that's what happened so that we can continue to make money off you.
Let me be clear. I am not saying that that's what happened.
Because it can't.
But what I am saying
is that I want people to think it could happen so that they pay us to keep fighting.
There is enough concern by our...
Yeah, that's what it really is about. There's enough gullibility. So we're supposed to, as taxpayers, fund this bullshit because the Republicans have cultivated pathological gullibility on their side. Because that's really, what else are we watching? Could, might, may, exactly.
Our voters in our county that do have concerns about it, and I have questions about that.
Questions about their questions, or questions about your own that are different from their questions or that are equal to their questions? So why don't you just say your questions? What are your questions?
You are very confident that nothing happened.
Yeah, he works for the company. They got hired to do it. They won't get hired again if shit doesn't work.
I hope that
if it doesn't line up, they get busted. There's nothing in it for them.
That's the case. But I think it behooves us, when there are concerns,
to just make mountains out of molehills, especially when those molehills come falling out of Trump's backside.
To verify that. That's why I think it's critical that we have an independent, qualified team of cyber experts.
That we get to pick and that you have to pay for.
Experts that can come in and do an audit of that software and make sure that
none of them are Russian, we promise.
Nobody else has touched that.
And none of these people will take an oath to secrecy. No, none of them will come from CENTCOM.
And I'm assuming, and I hoped, that you would have locked that down and not had your Dominion employees working on that to be able to make changes to take it back. But I think, again, for our voters
who are stupid,
sense of confidence in our voter system, we have to have that type of forensic audit.
No, you don't get to make a problem, make other people pay to solve your problem.
To make sure that what we've got is a viable piece of software that wasn't contaminated, that didn't skew voters.
It didn't. You have to actually make a case before people go on your wild goose chase everywhere.
And that's
a audit. Good point.
Important, whether Republican or Democrat. A vote is a protected. People have died for that.
Right, and you want to artificially create a problem where there is none because you lost.
Our majority whip, Senator Borelli, has fought for that overseas. So it's a high priority, I think, that should provoke the county to say, we need to verify this at whatever it takes to make sure that there
pay for it
isn't one little piece that was changed that wouldn't have been big enough to completely cause a dysfunction in the software, but could have compromised the voting integrity of those machines.
They either line up with the available ballots that were mailed in or registered, or they don't. If they didn't and the software doesn't line up, and it did, they would have been busted already. Goofy.
Thank you. Senator Borelli. You're on.
Nah. We don't need Senator Borelli. But that's the root of their attack, by the way. We'll do I'm going to sign off because I've been here all afternoon. I'll sign off now and let you guys go free because this is just far too much for one night. But I appreciate you guys. Congrats again to Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for the umpteenth time being declared president and vice president-elect of the United States of America. And I'm very happy about that fact. And congrats to the members of the Donald Trump administration who have been putting off job hunting. You can now double down your efforts, and good luck with that interview at OAN. I'm sure that research analyst job will be it'll be exhausting. You won't at all be a paycheck that you get to just take and split somewhere so they can launder some Russian money at all. You'll be fine. And to everybody who came on today, thank you guys for the Venmos. Thank you guys for the support. Thank you guys for our new Patreons. And oh my God, the people who gave super chats today, Mark and Benny Loco. I hope you're okay. I hope everything's okay. Big hug. And Ursula and the Moms Show. Thank you guys so much. By the way, don't forget to share the show, everybody, as best you can. That would be a wonderful, wonderful thing. It helps us out immensely. And I will see you guys tomorrow at our regular time. Hopefully tomorrow, after I work out, it won't be leg day for the third day in a row. So I will be able to walk and dance and move. We'll see. But either way, I appreciate you guys. Thanks for joining me today. Have a great, great evening. And remember, when anybody says to you, nobody even looks at our evidence, nobody's even seeing our stuff, they don't even take it seriously, the mainstream media won't even do it. I've seen it, and it's bullshit. You can say that now. Congratulations. You sit through, when you watch my show, all that stuff. And when they say nobody, 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 you can go, oh yeah, I've seen it. It's garbage. I can walk you through it. It's dumb. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. And don't forget, Sexy Liberal, the Christmas special is this weekend on Saturday, and it's sort of a best of. And you can also purchase all of them in a package. Go to sexyliberal.com. All the information's there. It's even a little confusing for me, but I think it's like $49.99 or something for all of them in one big fell swoop, or just do the regular show this weekend. And it's if you've already seen the other ones, and you still have access to them. If you watched all of them, you don't need to do it again. You can just get the new one and watch that one, and then you've got access to all of them for a year. So same kind of thing. If you haven't seen any of them, it's a good way to catch up or whatever. You can always, fast forward to my parts. It's fun. It's a good time. I'm kidding. So I will see you guys tomorrow, but sexyliberal.com is the way to do it. And thank you guys again for the Venmo support. And I think I'm going to be on Stuttering John's show Wednesday or Thursday, if I've got that right, or I might be seeing the same email from last week. It's so confusing. He asks me last minute all the times. But I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. Much love. Bye. Off you go. Cheers.